on e5, whereas black can start hopping on the light squares. There, I could see some opposite bishop domination here for Paravian.
And
oh, that is interesting.
Surgically remove that knight.
A hair twirler. I didn't notice that until today. That reminds me of my days playing Josh Friedel.
I was thinking the exact thing.
That's not okay. That's not that common. It's not uncommon either, but that's noticeable. I never knew that. I never played him in person.
The other one.
I have played Antipov. Yes, the hair. Yeah,
Antipov is a notorious hair twirler.
Twirl it.
Yeah. 93. So the knight has made its way out of d6. There is no immediate anything. White's still pretty solid. So this is going to take some finesse,
I think this is really, really bad for white. White is solid, but at any moment the knight, we are going to see knight g2, f4, maybe knight d5, and I think it's going to be determined black's light squared bishop versus white's dark squared bishop, and often in opposite bishops, one side has a huge upper hand, especially with all the pieces on the board and the king's a little bit exposed.
Yeah, with the queens on the board, opposite colored bishop positions are a different animal completely from queenless positions, where the presence of opposite colored bishop gives the position a drawish flavor. So does he play c4 to close the center and then maybe slam a knight onto d5?
Yeah, but you
did allow this though.
I think you can play around it. You did allow it, but I still think this is I think this is completely losing for white practically. I think black is just going to execute a light squared plan. All the piece on light squares. You can allow a bishop on d6. You're going to put your pawn on f5, move it to f4, bishop or knight on d5, bring another knight to e6, and slowly put all your piece on light squares. And I don't see how white can. Okay, well,
this is what you have to do to get out of such positions, but take it. And he's got 10 seconds on top of everything else. BC. I mean, knight takes c4 should be seriously considered here, because
the bishop on d6 isn't that good.
Deadly.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It looks pretty, but that's about it.
I like what Fedoseev is doing, because it was, I think, the only chance to try to stop black from just completely taking over, was to sack the pawn and get some blockades in.
Okay, so queen c2. Now, the interesting thing is you might not even have to defend the pawn. You might want to give it away in order to open up the diagonal, but you have to be careful about how you do it, because if white takes it with check and then pushes d5, that's when things could get a little bit hairy. Eric, I'm sensing that this game is far from over. I have a feeling that Fedoseev's going to get out of this one. I just have that sense,
I still think black's going to come out ahead, but I definitely believe there's some momentum, and I see why there's chances for Fedoseev to come back. So the king on h8 seems really safe to me. This is the thing that I think the light squares are still going to be this long-term problem.
That was a great move by Paravi, because weaponizing the queen trade. Queen h7.
I was saying black can play rook g7, rook f7.
That too. Okay.
Because I think the bishop on d6 is just being ignored, and the knight on g2 is also kind of okay. Now that's improvement. Bishop on
not invited to the party.
No, it's not.
Okay, but you need to preserve this pawn. You don't want to give it away. Knight f4, rook g2. Is there f3? f3, rook g6, fe, and rook f1 is threatened? I think that might win. No, f3, queen takes f3.
No, but you can take on h6 and play rook f6 maybe. Oh yeah, there is queen f3 too.
5 seconds for Paravian. Where's the win? Is it f3? Oh my god, did the tables just turn?
I think your prediction is
it's looking good, because f2 king
steam.
f1.
King f2? I thought he was going to play king f2.
He's walking on hot coals here. King f2, you got to blockade the pawn. There it is.
Three result game here.
White could totally win this. Rook g3. I mean, Fedoseev's playing for a win now. I would have sacked the exchange. I would have sacked the exchange on f3. I would still do it. Trades. I would still do it. He's got to make a move. 2 seconds for Vladimir. Rook F1. He's prepping the exchange.
Now he's preparing the exchange sack. Yep.
Will he do it? No, he won't. Rook E2 check.
Rook E2 check was good there. That was a big moment to play Rook E2.
I think black is okay with this, actually. This could be a draw just because of the intense light square blockade. Take it. Paravian's still playing for a win, maybe.
Yeah, the adrenaline hasn't worn off.
No, it has not. King takes F3.
King G3. Just King F3, maybe Rook D4, and it's just a draw. Now I don't know if Paravian's playing.
He sacks the exchange. The problem is black's pieces are so well positioned here that Fedoseev just might not be able to make progress. In fact, King E4.
King E4, yep.
And time to offer a draw. Oh, what a tricky move, though. Wait up, King G2. He put his rook on the worst possible square. King
G3. Now you can bring your king up and push the H pawn.
E6? No, E6 pawn was the bishop.
Just push the H pawn now. You can even
holy smokes.
You can just walk the king and pawn down.
It's over. The bishop is perfectly positioned. The pawn promotes, and black is not in time.
Bishop H4.
Easy. King H5. Or King F5. Or wait, that was wrong apparently?
I don't see why, but
King H5 would have avoided the check because now black can take on E5.
And then they can play rook F8. They can play rook F8.
Oh my god, King H5 was the winning move. Bishop E7 and the rook anywhere but H8.
King G7, Bishop E7, Bishop F8. No, it doesn't.
Rook A7.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got to try it though. Bishop E7, King E6. And David Paravian saves the game. A fair result, Eric. If Fedoseev would have won that, that would have been nuts.
That was a really good rapid game. Just overall, that was like both players got their moves in, and then it swung back and forth. But you could feel like they had the zen of the position. They could feel the moment.
And Alexei, in the meantime, has, it seems, outplayed Alexander Grischuk.
Yeah, it should be losing.
But what haven't we seen? You know,
rook D8, and then you go for the king endgame. You just take and play King D6.
Oh, King D6 is a dagger. It's over. Sarana wins. He's just going to take all the pawns and promote the B pawn.
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to win the pawn race, Eric?
Well, you don't even, like, you have this pawn on H5 fixing both of black's pawns. So it's not even close.
It's a deep freeze. Sarana wins another bloody round with only one draw so far out of 8 games. How do you like that?
No, I like it. I just got distracted by the Twitch chat, which is always a bad thing. Like, do you twirl your hair more when you're in time trouble? Does the pace speed up? I was just thinking about that, but I was a little distracted. Like, what happens in a time scramble if you're a hair twirler?
Yeah. How do you negotiate the lack of time?
Relative? Does it match the pace? Yeah.
I would imagine.
Like, one hand on the mouse, one hand twirling the hair. And just,
oh, look at the final position from the Hikaru game. I mean, this tells you all you need to know. The queen is hanging from 2 different knights. And its mate.
Oh. We have a KO button reserved for positions like this, Danya. That is a smothered mate in the RCC.
But this cannot happen. Like, you cannot expect to beat anybody if you're playing he takes F5. And Parham's got to find a way to put it behind him. Trust his instincts more. The problem is it's so hard
to recover when you're playing Hikaru and you're in the hole as well. Like, that's where it's like you start getting depressing thoughts. Like, a good start's pretty important. The pressure of playing Hikaru is one thing. Now you have the pressure of just trying to win on demand, which is just chess pressure. But like knight H4, you're playing this position. Hikaru has opened up the G file. He's indicating he wants to attack. You have an opportunity to neutralize that by trading the queens and going to the end game where black's pawn structure isn't so bad. It's not.
Black's better.
Yeah. Well, that's also the thing. Once you just look at position,
because
Hikaru's invested a bunch of time on this attack. Get the queens off, and your knights become very active right here on G3 and H4. it looks like a position Hikaru would have with black in the end, and then he like
Right.
moves his knights and forks you to death.
You're right, in the 8 different places. But Parham, complete total mental breakdown. He loses the first game. We've got a draw in Fedoseev Paravian, a roller coaster of a game. And Dmitry Andreikin, let's also not forget, he blundered a piece. He has a must-win with black against Noterbeck that you could not think of a more nightmare situation than that. Maybe Hikaru in a must-win situation.
Yeah.
But that's it. Jeez. Deep breath. Deep breath. What haven't we seen? Well, we haven't seen a player profile for David Paravian yet. He's a player, Eric, that everybody's heard of him, but people don't realize how good he is. He's only 24. He's been around forever. Became a GM 5 years ago now. I remember when he was an Untitled 2400. I played a Blitz tournament with him. He destroys me on the white side of a King's Indian. And some people you play and you just know they're going to become a GM. He's a classic example of that. So it's good to see him flourishing. We'll pause the clock with 1 second left. Has an arbiter for a queen. Still flags. I see. He's got a flair for the trollish.
Yeah, I've been playing Paravian and Sarana. Those guys are online all the time. Played them so many times in the last year or 2 years. They're seemingly getting better, but also just playing everything, and just a very consistent model of good speed chess, good rapid chess. They know how to fight from bad positions, and we saw Fedoseev demonstrate that in the last game. That was really, really good. What he recovered from. And
Parham better have something up his sleeve here, because Hikaru, to my knowledge, has never lost a game in this line. It is incredibly drawish, and you need some heavy-duty preparation if you are to generate winning.
Parham might have prep, because he prepared 30 moves when I played him a couple weeks ago. The entire game was prepared in an open Spanish. But even if he is really well prepared here, as you mentioned, Hikaru is well prepared and he has experience. So it'd be surprising if Parham gets anything substantial here against Hikaru.
So still games in this position.
It's a forcing line, relatively forcing. So if you don't come up with an idea or a push, it quickly fizzles out to a dead draw. So this could be pretty soon.
The only way that white gets an edge here, either you win the C pawn, right? Because if the C pawn is traded for the B pawn, you might as well sign the peace accords. Or if you can get black to take with an E pawn, for instance, if you get this position, you could make a claim that white is better. You get the D4 square, pawn is weak. You have the two bishops. So obviously white's not risking, but I'm not buying it, Eric. I don't see Hikaru losing here.
I agree with you there. And Parham's already thinking, which means he's kind of out of his knowledge base, or he's in his knowledge base and he recognizes that everything leads to a draw here. And that can be a very depressing thought and feeling. So I will say I don't like the opening choice for a must-win game.
Agreed completely. And we will monitor Parham's attempts to win on demand. For now, let's see what Dmitry Andreikin has cooked up in his must-win situation with the black pieces. Unsurprisingly, it is a Sicilian. And many years ago, my coach, the common advice is that when you need a draw, you play for a win, right? If you modify your style, that's the best way to lose a game, in which you're satisfied for a draw. And that's exactly what Noterbeck is doing, going straight for the open Sicilian.
I'm hearing there might be a disconnect right now, Danya.
Oh, Hikaru?
Can we check the Hikaru game for a moment?
Yes, we can.
But the thing about this is you have 9 minutes to reconnect, right? It's not like those situations where if you aren't present for a minute, you flag. So I think either way, he's
back,
able to reconnect. Yeah.
That fiber internet coming in handy.
Yes.
Yeah, I hope you have that in Canada, right?
In some parts, but honestly, not everywhere. Canada's pretty bad infrastructure-wise when it comes to internet. Pretty bad is probably an understatement. It's awful in Canada,
Want me to make you super jealous?
and it's expensive. Yes, please make me jealous.
So AT&T came out with 5 gig. It's sort of a trial thing in about 4 cities. And one of them happened to be Charlotte.
That makes sense because Charlotte's like a banking tech hub up and coming, but
and it's home of streamers. 5 gig.
We don't even have 1 gig in most of the country. In most places, even 500 megabytes is a dream. But
it's good enough.
Elon to save us. Well, yeah, upload speed matters more, I guess.
Oh, that's the thing people don't realize. Like, I hate it when people say they have 1 gig internet and then I test the upload speed and I can't stream on 5 Mbps.
All about the upload. But yeah,
we are in the one industry where that's important. Okay, back to Andraken's game. And we have this crazy rouser. No, this is the Taymanov. And Dimitri has opened the A file, but you can't really exploit it easily, right? Queen A5 always runs into knight B3.
Yes.
So what do you make of this? Who's better?
White. I think Andraken, I mean, his weakness has always been openings, like relatively speaking. Like, he's not the strongest theoretician. He's a very strong practical player. Norderbeck is very good with white in the Sicilians, and he also has that 1 point lead. I think he's just gonna be a lot more comfortable playing an open Sicilian than Andraken. Both because he's a more active tournament player, both because he's like working on openings more, and then just how the first game went. Andraken can run into problems with black. He has that tendency because he has a fairly limited repertoire when it comes to his openings. So I definitely give that category to Norderbeck. Openings, he should 100% be favorite.
You'll give him the nod.
A clear nod, and yeah, he's only getting stronger.
Yeah, he's well, the thing is, as I look at this position, though, I'll push back a little bit. I think Dimitri is doing a good job of whipping up serious queenside play. He is threatening this classic exchange sack on c3. And Norderbeck has many ways to defend against it. One move that comes to mind is something of a prophylactic variety, like bishop c1.
I like bishop c1.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm not sure if black's going to be castling here. I'm just looking at the position and it's like, okay, like, I think he's kind of banking on something happening on the queen side, because once you play this pawn to h5, which we have in the game, means that when white goes g4, you get they come through pretty quickly. And so I think Andraken's definitely looking to fish around and find some opening on the queen side here and play from that, because you just try to castle. I think g4 comes and then you're in for some pain.
But, yeah, you're operating on borrowed time here. I mean, eventually white's just going to play g4 anyway. Something's going to give if black dilly-dallies.
You're waiting for moves like rook d2 or maybe that rook c3. Right, let's say rook hd2, then rook c3, knight e4, stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of tricks and traps, but my guess is Dimitri will probably default to bishop e7 if he doesn't figure out a move. But I think Norderbeck seems to have this under control. His experience level, as you said, his tactical vision are superb, and Dimitri is going to have to pull a rabbit out of the hat here. In the meantime, we have Grischuk's in a slightly better end game. Where should we go?
Hikaru's game.
Yeah, I agree. I think Parham is not doing the greatest job of generating winning chances here. He's not even close.
I would lose this to Hikaru because he's going to get the knights on dangerous squares.
Yeah, like knight d4, knight f5, knight e2, knight d4.
Yes.
Somehow he just coordinates.
Yeah, the pass pawn, but it gets blockaded easily. So
that's another thing. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten a passer to like c7 in the middle game, or two passers they'll be on d6 and c7. Somehow they're magically blockaded and they never go anywhere.
Yeah, Hikaru's really good at blockading. It's a very, very good at understanding how to do that, and when it's good and when it's not, and just playing around it and luring you into a false sense of security. The pass spawn is not an asset when you play Hikaru. So it's just like you expend all your resources pushing it, and you just get tricked somewhere else.
So does he take out f3 here is the question. This is a
what
big
about
decision.
Maybe just knight ef5, and then you can prepare moves like, I don't know, queen a5 next, for example.
Yeah, and you can't move the bishop, so you have this on tap whenever you want it.
It's unpleasant, right? You have so many loose pieces here as well.
White's worse.
You have to expend a lot of energy there.
But this was a half-hearted winning attempt by Parham. It did not seem like he had serious preparation in this line, to be completely honest.
No.
And you can't, it's understandable.
What's a line that Hikaru knows really well, and he has to work on it for his candidates in OTB. I mean, that's one of the lines he really knows well. Like,
right.
Has to know well. And he's probably more warmed up there. But yeah, that's as I said, preparation is going to be a factor today. People take these rapid games very seriously. You're going to see professional openings, and this is going to be a very professional hold by Hikaru from what I'm expecting here.
Yeah, I mean, he can probably the annoying thing is that knight f3 meets with queen takes f3, and this endgame is drawn. But will Hikaru go for this? I mean, maybe there's an inkling of hope for white due to the passer. I don't think so, though. It's total blockade. It's a dead draw. I think Hikaru's going to go for this, and he is.
Yeah, I don't
because
think
why not? Why seek adventures, right?
Yeah.
Why seek adventures? Hikaru will go knight c6, and
you can bring the king in. Just a blockaded pass pawn is just going to be almost even a target there. Yeah, easy draw.
Coffee be happy. Yeah, he takes this one is in the bag for Mr. Nakamura, and he will advance to the winner's bracket with Parham. Will have his work cut out for him. In the meantime,
yeah, go ahead. No, I agree with that. No, just with his last move f6, it's clear he's probably gonna try to bring his king maybe to d5 if he can play e5 next. But yeah, I mean, let's say Parham goes knights. Let's say e5, knight c4. You just have what, knight d4?
Oh, he went knight e5.
Some tricks. F5, knight
d6. But okay, some tricks.
Some tricks.
Not draw yet. Maybe for that reason he makes some additional luft, and he does. And I'm sure there's a forced draw here somewhere.
Probably you have knight d7. Probably you have knight d7, right?
Rook d4. Oh, and then f5.
F5.
Oh, look at you. Knight. Let's pull up an analysis board. This is really cool. Knight d7 shows the importance of liquidation. Knight d7, rook d4, not knight takes c5, rook c4. Probably still a draw, but not worth it. And it's on the board. But rook d4, f5, boom, boom. Can't defend the pawn. Time to sign the piece.
Yep.
Okay. This one's over. Let's see if Hikaru finds f5. What do you think? He doesn't usually find such moves.
No. Well, let's say you don't find f5. You almost have rook c7, but no, he's going to find f5.
Yeah, he's double, triple checking it. There it is. And I think Parham's facial expression is worth 1,000 words.
Thing is, I mean, Hikaru wasn't under pressure from the opening. His just body language, he knows he's not going to lose the game. So it's a matter of almost it's like puzzle rush. He just knows the position's equal. He just needs to find the right move.
Mm-hmm.
There's no real mystery there for what to do. He knows he's in a good position. He's studied position, equal position, and that his opponent doesn't really have anything there. So it's just a matter of the X's and O's. He didn't really have to he didn't have to work hard at all.
And that's so precise. Look at what he just did, right? Very easy to ignore that moment. I would have taken on c5 and gone rook c4. Is there anything wrong with this? Absolutely not. But he goes rook c6 because he's going to go king f8, and it will be Parham who will have to make the draw. He offers one, Hikaru accepts, and he is through to the next round. which means we are switching for a second back to Noterbeck's game, which is getting crazy. Whoa, Andraken's better.
Much better. This is one ugly pawn structure, and I guess his fishing worked. He got something. He's gonna win. He's gonna win the exchange here, Danya. If Rook D3, Knight F2, and otherwise you got Knight takes C3, and then Black's gonna have a. I mean, this pawn structure is just awful.
And Black is up a pawn currently. My goodness.
Knight C5. Brutal.
It's yeah, but I feel like Noterbeck will hold this.
I'm gonna have to take the other side. You were
hey, I'm 1 for 1. Am I not?
Yes. Well, he didn't win, but I thought you were actually predicting Fedosey was gonna win, which almost happened. I was like, that would have been like but yeah. You think Noterbeck will hold this?
I'm predicting a draw in this game.
The thing is, he definitely doesn't get phased by bad positions. The Uzbek kids are just like, they get a bad position, they just play it like nothing happened, and they don't get like frustrated or something. So
no,
he's mentally very strong. So I can see where you're coming from. And but I'm going to go with Andre can win here.
All right, Mr. Contrarian.
Let's see if he has the clutch gene.
He usually does. I mean, in Title Tuesday, he does. I mean, how many Title Tuesdays has he won on demand in the last round? Countless. And his RCC performance has been obviously simply outstanding. Ooh, apparently that was a mistake.
You're not happy with that move, because now I probably play F6, and do I not just have H3 hanging at the end? F6?
F6 straight away. It's on the board.
And this pawn structure, I mean, you're going to lose the pawn races.
So what should he have done? C takes D3?
Yes.
Yeah,
I was expecting C D3 and then King B2 and pawn to D4.
Yeah, that was a weird lapse by Noterbeck. But why is this so bad? Takes, you want to take, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm just
I'll go
thinking
C4.
Just think that a race is likely not going to favor you, even if you hold it.
It's a moot point. He's taken on F5 and gone G4.
Yeah. Well, now, yeah.
Which
ugly pawns. So take on G4 once. Probably play Knight D6, Knight C4. Bring the king in. Target the G4 pawn. Push your pawns. White's doubled C pawns are going to be it's going to take a lot of labor to get those pawns tracking down.
Yeah, the one redeeming thing for White is if you can take on A6, you'll have the potential to give your knight away for 2 of Black's pawns. Obviously, that's much easier said than done, and Black needs to engineer the pawn push such that that can't happen. Let's see if Dimitri has that technique. And Rook C8 is a great move, limiting the knight, attacking C3. My prediction has not aged well.
It's
although, hey, we've seen crazier things in our lives, haven't we?
We have. But
the Parabian Fedoseev game has been very, very even. I think it's almost guaranteed that it will end in a draw. Shall we pop into the Grischuk game, or do you?
Sure, we can check in on. No, we can check in on Grischuk.
Yeah, not to
he's in a must-win
commentary with bad players, but
must-win situation, right?
And he's doing a pretty darn good job of it as well.
He is. This is for a must-win game. You got the bishop versus the knight. You got the better pawns. This is a serious push, and if you're going to advance in this tournament, you got to be banking on winning positions like this. I mean, so it's just whether he's up to task or not. The winning technique? I mean, it's not a winning position maybe yet, but I think it's actually pretty bad for. Okay, he's going to go bishop a5. So he is going for. So knight f6.
The downside is the weakened d5. Okay,
exactly. So why did he go for this? Bishop a5, king b7. Then I'm going to go.
I think he wants before. If rook e7, I have maybe bishop d8. Then rook d7. Yeah, it gets very concrete here. Maybe not the best.
Can you go rook d7, then I take on f6, right? And I can play the king and pawn endgame.
Oh, also I have maybe b5.
Yeah, Do you go
So,
b5? But bishop d8 looked good, but maybe b5 as well.
but they've gone a slightly different route. Bishop c3 rather than the check.
I mean,
Half
there were
trying to
two
go to e5.
approaches. Grischuk's going like for this. Otherwise, you can just slowly play the position. Your bishop does get stronger. You can still improve your king, improve a couple pawns, maybe f4. This is more committal by giving the d5 square. But if it works, it works. And I trust. I mean, he's not one to mess up technical positions so much in terms of understanding, and he feels like here there's a breakthrough somewhere.
Parabian
I'm a little
and
surprised
Fedosеев
though.
drew, by the way. So they will move to an Armageddon. You're surprised at Grischuk's.
This method of conversion when he can still slow play it and still make this decision later. You probably could still get this position later if the natural way of like opening things up didn't work. Because I just don't like giving the d5 square for the knight.
That is a huge square, but you don't want to rush it because then
Grischuk can get in time trouble, and then knights get tricky, then you get forked, and then you regret everything you've done. Yes.
I think Alexei smells the turn of the tables. F4, a committal move in his own right.
Yep.
Wow. Is he setting up some sort of e4 ideas for later? Hard to say. Tossing the ball back into Grischuk's court. Both sides at a minute. Here we go.
We're in for a treat.
Oh, I think what Alexei's trying to do is against bishop takes a5, king b7, b4. In that case, he was preparing the move e4.
And that seems pretty smart. But this g4 move looks great. I love the g4 move.
Yeah, rich play.
If black takes, that pawn on e5 is isolated. If they don't take, the pawn push could be useful in some future races, gaining some space.
And dislodging the knight is a big trump card.
So g5, knight d5,
knight
bishop
d5.
d2, bishop d2, and then I want to go king e4, d3 to e4.
Well, and first of all, you're threatening rook d7 check there.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe rook e7, but I don't know.
And I agree with you that the great thing about playing g5 is the black knight will not be able to return to f6 when the white king is on e4. But Grischuk, his clock is dwindling. He's down below 30 seconds. And like you said, black as a knight, doesn't matter what the objective evaluation is, it's going to be tricky for the rest of the game.
Grischuk wants to be under 30 seconds. Now he's in his element. 13, 12.
Draken blundered a knight. Oh my God, we have to go back to that game. What just happened? Oh my God, Eric.
Oh,
he blundered a knight.
You're killing me on the bets here. On Draken. So he hung
rook
two pieces in 2 games.
He played rook
pieces in 2 games.
Simply unbelievable. I don't think I've ever seen him blunder like this once. For him to do this twice is apocalyptic.
Tough day in the office there.
Oh, and look at Alexei Sarana sacrificing the pawn.
Bishop d4. But now he's going all in, and then Grischuk is close to winning as long as he doesn't panic. That pawn can be corralled. The material advantage is going to speak for itself. Okay.
King e3.
Knight c2 check. But it doesn't do anything, right?
But f2 is a huge threat. And king f2, knight d3 check. King f1.
King f1. Exactly.
Rook f4, though. And Alexei's going to start collecting.
Rook f4, there's bishop e3.
Oh. What's the move here? 1 second, make a move.
Holy smokes.
He's completely winning. I mean, he's just going to vacuum up all of black's pawns. Takes on rook d7.
Rook d7. King f2 now? First? Okay, this works.
Rook g5. Rook e4. Alexei winning h4.
But I don't know why Grischuk should have played king f2 there or something.
He should have ignored h5. It's still winning, I think, practically speaking. Rook b7 and a5.
Yes.
But then, no, king takes c5.
What's going on here?
G6 and rook g8 and g7 quickly.
Yes.
But the issue is that the black king is just going to chill on b7
because you don't have a c pawn. You have the right. You don't have a pawn that can kick the king out after king b7.
It's just a draw. Oh my God! And Alexei's going to save it. Just move your rook. Rook g6. Anything. That's it. Oh my God! Wait! Whoa!
Oh, the king can hide on the H file. The king can hide on the H file.
Oh, because black has the H pawn.
Oh, so there's no checks.
That's what he was going for. Alexei had to push his pawn rather than procrastinating.
Oh, he is upset.
What a devil this Alexander Grischuk
So
is.
just rook f8 and rook h2 or anything.
Just take with the king. Don't take with the rook. h2. No.
We have another Armageddon.
How did he do that? I thought it was already over. That's what Grischuk was going for. Oh my lands. And here, just go h4. That's it. h3.
That's why you keep playing.
Force rook h8. That is why you keep
playing. And that's an immediate draw there.
It's not even
the match.
Nothing. Oh, yeah, that's the match right there.
That could be a $10,000, $20,000 decision, right? Oh.
Alexei Sarana
He's gonna have
devastated.
To recover for the Armageddon game. I don't know how much time they have in between games, but that is a tough one to shake off.
It is, and Alexander Grischuk has all the momentum right now. He is back from the dead. He's climbed out of his grave. He has exited the cemetery, and he's right there in the thick of things. They're bidding for the time, so we have 2 Armageddon games with Andreikin, with Fedoseev and Paravian making 2 draws, and Alexander Grischuk winning on demand against Alexei Sarana. This is going to be hard to decide between. Both of these are going to be epic.
Yeah, we got 2 Russian Armageddons, right?
Yeah. Indeed, we do.
Very competitive matches.
And
but
Hikaru
yeah, if you ask me if
Parham.
Andreikin would have blundered 2 pieces, I would have been shocked. It's one thing he doesn't do. Openings can be a problem and whatnot, but like he is a model of consistency when it comes to just playing with tempo and playing good speed chess moves. He's a very good example for people to follow in terms of practical skills. And he doesn't often, doesn't fall for tricks and stuff like that. And today just something was off.
Yeah, I was talking on stream a couple of days ago about how to define bad form for people who aren't necessarily experienced at chess. And there are just days when you don't see the board properly. You just feel it in your brain and your bones, but it's hard to explain what that feeling entails. It's a feeling that you're not in control of the game, that at any moment you can blunder, right?
Absolutely. The redeeming idea there is at least everybody has those days, including Magnus, but it is frustrating. That's why, it happens to everybody. But
but that's why we have double.
You don't want it to happen during the big moments, and that's why we have double elimination. Yeah. That's why sometimes, like, if I play a bad game and I escape and I win it, I feel good. Like, I played bad, the result mattered. I got the bad moves out. Next day, new day, I'll be back in form. But everybody has those days, and today, Dmitry Andreikin's just gonna have to ignore that and get a good night's sleep and be ready for the losers bracket.
Indeed. And speaking of brackets, as the players bid for the time, we have a couple of updates in our winners bracket. We see Jeffrey Zhang will face Wesley Soth. That's going to be an epic match. Nepo against Dubov. And of course, the other 2 matchups are yet to be decided by the outcome of the Armageddon. Hikaru will face the winner of the Sarana Grischuk Armageddon, and Noterbeck will face the winner of Fedoseev Paravian. So we've got more mouth-watering matchups ahead. And right now, we have updates on the Armageddon. It appears that Alexander Grischuk will have the black pieces with 7 minutes and 15 seconds to Alexei Sarana's 10 minutes. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, Grischuk gets in time trouble anyway, so why doesn't he take that? Right? Like,
why doesn't it just take a minute, just get it over with.
Exactly. So that I'm actually surprised he didn't bid less just to make sure he got it. But maybe I don't know if the players know what other people bid or if there's like data on that, like what the sweet spot is. But seems like 7 minutes is the range, right? That's where if you bid 6 minutes, you're guaranteed black. you bid 7 minutes, it kind of depends where you fall in that range.
Yeah, that seems to be the sweet spot. There's a certain ring to that number. It's not too high, it's not too low. Alexei bid 9 minutes, so he really wanted white. He wants to put that time pressure on Sasha, and with no increment, I think that decision makes sense from his perspective.
Probably mutually beneficial.
And of course,
I mean, Sasha did lose with black, but I'm sure as a world-class player, he knows, like, he's drawn the world champions with black, and on demand, that when the moment comes, he can do it in this match as well.
Yeah, Alexei, well known for his opening preparation, which is stellar and dangerous. He's a 1d4 player almost exclusively. So Alexander Grischuk probably spending some time trying to decide whether to play the same Queen's Gambit decline from game one or to deviate. I don't really see a point in deviating. I mean, the end game that they had in game one was pretty much equal. I don't think Grischuk would mind taking another stab at that. So we also have updates in the other match. It appears that Fedoseev and Paravian are bidding right now.
we have some players that advanced that want to join in on the bidding anyways. I think they don't have a match, but they want to bid and they want to.
That's adorable.
Play the game.
That's adorable. Noterbeck was bidding on the time. Noterbeck, I'd like to remind you that you won. Might not have realized that. 1.5 half. That's really funny. No, it is David Paravian who has to do the bidding. And knowing Vladimir will probably want the white pieces, because he's another one of those incredibly explosive players who likes having time on his clock and doesn't mind needing to win. Wow. It's good that we get a chance to breathe, though, isn't it?
Yep. At last round, we had one Armageddon. This one, they're both going to be at the same time, so it could get pretty chaotic. Two players are being sent down to the loser's bracket.
Yeah, and I've had one experience with double elimination. Was the Bullet Championship, and it definitely, winning the entire loser's bracket is a monumental task, but someone's going to do it. So perhaps that is how Dmitry Andreykin is consoling himself. It'll be a new day. He'll clean out the memory of this terrible series of games, and he's very much capable of making a comeback, I think.
I agree. Yeah, level was unrecognizable today, but all the players that have made it, especially through the RCC standings, I mean, they were very, very consistent. They can have off days, but just over a larger period, they've shown to be consistent and, elite rapid players. And you give Andreykin a second chance, there's a very good chance he's going to show up and play at that world-class rapid level. He's not going to have 2 bad days.
Yeah, I mean, one of the fascinating things about chess is the fact that, on any given day, even the greatest players just have these lapses. And a lot of people who are new to chess, they don't fully understand the truth of that statement. It's incredibly rare, but it happens. And just like Steph Curry could go 0 of 16 on 3-pointers, no matter how incredibly good you are, you're human.
But then you always remember, though, like, those players can go for 16, but you remember their top class, their ceiling. And the ceiling for someone like Andreykin is someone who's capable of winning that loser's bracket. He has the acumen. He's got the pedigree. So because there are some players here where they're playing the RCC knockout, and if they do well here, that might be the best rapid result they've ever had in their career. Someone like Andreykin, he's pretty seasoned. He's had some big rapid results, both online and in person. So we know he's capable. There are some other players that this is going to be more unknown territory. They're going to have some more nerves involved and more new territory, and remains to be seen what that ceiling is. But you have some players here, yeah, they can win the World Rapid Championships.
They definitely can. And another player, of course, is Alexei Sarana, who's about to play in Armageddon with Alexander Grischuk at 22 years old. Russian higher league champion in 2019. That is not an easy tournament to win. And gold with Russia in the Olympiad, the previous Olympiad. I didn't notice that he always has his left hand on his cheek, but that's an interesting observation.
Like, it's so cool. Like, I just, in Russia, they call it the higher league. They have the Russian championship, but somehow winning the higher league, because it's in
Right.
Russia, sounds more prestigious. Like, it sounds like crazy strong. I just think of like some remote like Russian outpost, and they're just playing for like, 2 weeks, and you win the higher league. You win the test. You pass the test. Like, it is a very serious event. Goryachkina, I think, did she win it the other year, or she was maybe?
Yeah, I think she did. And the games
and
have begun, by the way.
that's a historical result in terms of women in chess. What she was able to do there.
Absolutely. And I guess the question is answered. They are repeating the exact same opening. Ooh. Did Grischuk do? No, he did not. Ooh.
They're not repeating, but they are in familiar territory.
Jeez. Castle's queenside. Oh, my lands.
But it's fairly safe. There's no more pieces for black to bring in yet that can.
You sure about that?
Contribute. Well,
how about this line? Rook e6, queen g7, rook
you want to sack the queen?
Bang.
Yes.
Bang, bang, bang. Oof. Mate on view. Actually, rook e6 isn't just a gimmick move. I think that might be the move, and he plays it.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do, because I'm afraid, is I probably will go rook d2, but then I have to follow up with like knight e2 or something. Rook d2 and knight e2 and f3. Maybe that's a bit off. Let me think. This is scary.
Yes, it is, because there's also tons of perpetual
checks. Okay, how about this? Okay.
No.
Is f3 too slow? f3, rook b6, queen f2.
f3 I was thinking of rook c6, but then you could play knight e2.
Knight e2, then I go knight e2, and at least I have a better version. Or even potentially queen e1 in some lines. But
although even bishop g6 here, just preserving the attack.
No, that looks pretty scary.
White's redeeming factor.
I agree. And the queen on b4 is very well placed.
Knight d7, b6, c4 is coming, and the biggest problem is just to me that black's king is very comfortable on d8. So there isn't even a big hurry for Sasha here. Okay, there is on the clock, but not on the board. Rook d2 played.
Well, it's understandable that Sarana went for this, though. I mean, he probably knows, black, if they play well, they're well prepared, which Grischuk seems to be. They have a good position, or they have a decent position. But at the end of the day, he needs to find something that gives him winning chances. And does this position give both players winning chances? Yeah. Black could be overextended. Black's king could end up being vulnerable. This is a position from which you can play for a win for either side. And in an Armageddon game, for some players, that's how you do it.
Well, we can briefly check into the other game, since this one has somewhat stabilized for now. This is Fedoseev, who has the white pieces against Paravian. Paravian started with 658, so really going low, insisting on playing black. Oh, did he blunder knight f7?
Yes.
He did, didn't he?
Yes.
Knight f7 is a crusher. Bang, bang, bang. And he might have forgotten that the knight on c4 attacks d2. Vladimir Fedoseev is not going to miss that. And he doesn't.
That's a brutal blunder, because you not only lose a pawn, your pawn structure gets ruined a bit, and you lose your bishop. Your dark squared bishop. You have no more dark squares for the rest of the game almost.
The pin is a two-sided device. I think a lot of people forget that it can be turned around in rare cases against the side that imposes the pin. And this is a great example of that, especially when the pinned piece is undefended like this, because if you take the knight, white takes the bishop and it's over. Brutal. Absolutely brutal.
So you probably go for this, where you're just going to be down a pawn in an endgame, which is pretty depressing. But maybe you get some holding chances, some rook endgame, you figure out something. But I expect Fedosea with the 2 minutes and extra pawn to smoothly convert this.
And that
I shouldn't say smooth.
perhaps,
It's never smooth. There's big stakes here. I shouldn't say smooth. We've seen things change in this match, and both players were fighters, very strong, practical players. So
knight f4 is a nice move by
Yeah.
David, trying to complicate the game. I'm trying to figure out if bishop f3 can preserve all of the pluses of white's position. That needs to be calculated.
so bishop f3.
Heavily.
What happens?
No, it works. It works.
If knight, I have a move for you. Knight takes d4.
Oh my! You're trying
If
to
knight
give me
d2, knight f3, then knight e2, knight g3, and rook
Oh!
d8.
But I'm gonna take.
What are you
What is
taking?
happening? I'm taking the bishop or the knight. And if rook c4, I'm gonna take the knight and go bishop
Oh,
e5.
no.
And again, it all stems from that king. It stems from the pawn on f7 being gone, which is the irony of it. But Fedoseev going a different route, going greedy and taking a second pawn. Okay, that gives black a little hope.
Might be banking on bishop f3 right now. Maybe. Has to be. What do you think?
Bishop f3.
There's going to be a
goes
lot of hair
d5.
twirling this game. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, and you were right, Eric. Your theory. I think when nervous moments or when you get low on time, the hair twirling,
Yes,
the velocity increases.
it really does. That's something I've never tried. I wonder how it happens.
So where does David move his knight? 95, probably. That looks like the most natural move.
Is he thinking about taking on b7 and playing rook c7?
But then knight a5.
And then rook b8,
B.
bishop d2.
Yeah, I see what you're trying to do. I think that's going to happen. Rook b8.
Rook b8 of b4, bishop d2. Try to be a bit annoying. Okay, this little something something. I don't know.
Yeah, black only needs a draw, so Fedoseev can't just, take his foot off the gas pedal here.
I always like watching these games because the players play well in bad positions. They are resourceful. They're finding making it as hard as possible for the player in the driver's seat to convert, and that's always something that can be worked on and learned from.
Should be 5. Back in Grischuk land.
So yeah,
In the meantime.
okay.
Not much has changed. The Grischuk has 342. But Alexei can barely move.
No, it does look comfortable for black. You do get a bit of an initiative or some. You get to look at fun lines where you're attacking or sacking and getting through for free. I mean, not for free. The king's on d8, but outside of the king being on d8, everything's like protected and compact.
So one such fun line: knight f4, rook c6, knight g6, and knight e4 intermezzo. You can resign just to destruction on a grand scale.
Yeah, look at this bishop on f1 and rook on h1 sitting there. That's
you
nasty.
can't play like this. You cannot play without your king side. But you can develop your king. It's like catch 22. If you move your knight, you leave the other knight undefended. If you don't, then your pieces are buried. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Alexei can't find a move here. He's just...
But there is a move. So can we find a move, Daniel?
Okay, I have an idea. King d1 and knight c1. How do you like that?
I actually don't mind it. I was going to actually say queen g5. I think the idea is actually to play f3, and you don't want to hang e3. Yeah, I think that, yeah. So
that's a good move. I agree.
So if rook c6 now, then we play your king d1 or f3 and then king d1. But then rook c6 is a little more misplaced.
Right.
But if you go c6, then your rook doesn't swing. So now f3 and maybe king d1.
Yeah, to cover the f3, of course, to cover the e4 square, because knight e4 is a huge...
We could go king d1 right away because of the pin, so it's up to you. But I think a combination of f3 and king d1 here, and we might be shuffling back to the king side.
Yeah, before we know it, it might land on G1. I mean, the path is pretty clear.
I think it's not a bad idea by Sarana. You might have to worry about knight b6, knight c4. So I'm gravitating towards king d1 first, so that I can meet knight b6 with knight f4 right away, as opposed. Yes, then he's done it. Because knight b6, knight c4 looked a little scary in a couple of lines. Now knight b6, you play knight f4.
Right, and all of a sudden, Black's king side is
queen on g5 is annoying. Once you get f3, you can play king e1, king f2, d5 is loose, g6 is loose, and all of a sudden White's king is looking a bit safer. So I think Sarana found a critical line to get out of dodge.
Yeah, the one thing is if Black's king were to be on c8, the landscape of the position would change completely because you would have the additional resource of rook takes c3 and knight e4 in many positions. So Alexi's still on very thin ice here. Anything could happen.
Well, what I'm worried about is, okay, he's trying to be tricky.
He's trying to trap the queen in some
cases.
Queen
b3, king e1, knight c4, knight c1.
Oh my god!
Because he's only weakening the c4 square. He's only weakening the c4 square right now.
Knight c1 is an all-star move, and that doesn't trap the queen, but it forces it back. And White is finally enjoying his life here for the first time in the game.
Yeah, you can always play knight c1 because knight can always go back to e2 and then to f4. So it's a temporary maneuver. And if it does the job of kicking away Black's queen from dangerous squares, then that's well worth it. You don't have to worry about checkmate anymore. Okay, I'll move my knight back for the sake of that. I like queen a5. I'm thinking Grischuk's looking to sack the exchange. If you let White stabilize here, I think White is all of a sudden in a clear driver's seat with f3, king e1, king f2. So I'm strongly looking at the exchange sack, not because it leads to checkmate, but just...
No, but the clock, it's dwindling, and there's no increment. And king c8,
no, but
finally pulls his king out of the pin, but it's too late, isn't it?
It's not like king c8 is great and White's unraveling. White's coming out of the position and
takes in king e2.
This is close to losing. This is close to losing right now. You can just trade. You can bring your king to e2. g6 is weak. The rook on a8 has a problem
collapse, and all of a sudden it's Black's whose queen side is undefended. It was White whose king side was dead. Now everything is coordinated. He's up on time. Alexei just pulled a rabbit out of the hat. That was incredibly impressive. Knight e4, by the way. There's even queen e7.
Oh, I like queen e7. That's nice. Oh, that's nice.
b6. Grischuk trying to get his king to b7, get his rook into the game.
You might be able to just take on g6 here if you want to be really principled, but f3 and king f2, and you just have a killer endgame.
Fedoseev won, by the way. Wait, Fedoseev was supposed to win, right? Yes.
Yes.
He won.
A
heartbreaking blunder for Paravian. So this game is all that remains. Who will be the final
94
winner?
Is a bit of an idea.
Yeah. Whoa, what a fearless move. Knight g4 yields nothing due to king g3? Or no, queen e2.
Queen on a4 needs to get into the game, Daniel. Can't be playing without it.
Wait, what about
if you're
knight
trying
g4?
To chase the king. So he's counting on king g3, right?
Okay, he's trying to set it up, but it's just
then you wanted to do knight takes
tempo
c3.
Too slow. Exactly. And I still want to do it. I still want to go knight g4 and rook takes c3. No. King g1. Ooh. Now knight
e4 takes d5, maybe
d5.
Queen d6 or something.
It just seems like Grischuk is floundering. He's not generating any tactical chances here.
No.
Knight h7,
and he let White stabilize when you have the knight. Oh, is it?
Knight h7 and queen g3.
But he's not. He's playing the stable moves. Queen g3 is now a threat.
And g5 is in the mix as well.
So he's kind of g5.
G5 and gf.
Take on f4.
Wait,
rook is hanging.
Oh.
The rook is hanging.
Oh,
Rook
it's
c2.
over. It's
Rook
all over.
c2 and then queen f3 after rook e7. And we're going to see a resignation.
Yes, we are.
Right when he was coming back out again.
Yeah, that's actually a very easy blunder to make queen c7, making sure that the queens get off the board. Sasha is not going to play another move. And Alexei Sarana, huge kudos to him. Upset, tough last game. He keeps his composure, very difficult position, and he turns it around and beats Alexander Grischuk.
Yeah, I think well deserved. He made a couple of key moves in a challenging middle game where he was facing like mating threats, and just he was very calm and collected throughout. And it felt like he actually just held himself together better than Grischuk, who not only just got low on time, but was very inconsistent with his plans, with what he wanted to do. And Sarana seemed to just have that vision and executed it from start to finish. I mean, he played this opening for a reason, knowing that, you know, it does get a little dicey, but he has faith in himself that he can find the right moves and maneuver very sharp positions. And he's going for the most critical lines. And yeah, that paid off.
It did indeed. Alexei Sarana is into the winner's bracket, and that means our 8 preliminary winners are set. Our bracket for the next round is set as well, and we will delve right into those matches after a short break. We have Hikaru Nakamura, we have Vladimir Fedoseev, Dubov, and others. Nepomniachtchi, they will all be duking it out in the first stage of the winner's bracket when we come back here at the Rapid Chess Championship Finals, presented by Coinbase. Be back in a few.
A unique, online event with enticing high stakes, the inaugural season of the Rapid Chess Championship delivered its fair share of big names and big moments.
And Hikaru Nakamura is going to win. How did he do that?
With more than 50 grandmasters claiming cash prizes over 6 months of weekly competition, it was also home to a healthy helping of big surprises.
E6, blundering F7.
This has been such a roller coaster.
Awarding over $500,000 in cash money. But year one of the RCC is not done yet. The Rapid Chess Championship is presented by Coinbase, and the finals are finally here. The brightest stars from the regular season, including Hikaru Nakamura, Fabiano Caruana, Alexander Grischuk, and more, are back to take a run at a fresh $150,000 and the very first Rapid Chess Championship title. Also in the mix, the familiar faces of top players known for dominating elite online chess events. How will they handle the pressure of chasing a championship? And crashing this party as wildcard invites, some of the most famous names in competitive chess drop in to stake their claim to the $30,000 first prize. My friends, it's the inaugural Rapid Chess Championship final. Who will make history as our first RCC champion? What surprises are still to come? We are soon to find out.
Back we are at the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. This is the first day of the 4-day finals weekend, and we have our winners from round one set. They are about to begin the quarterfinals. Let's take a look at our bracket. Eric, no huge upsets. Wesley defeating Jaspam, Hikaru defeating Parham. But for the players who won, it was anything but an easy ride.
Definitely. I mean, there's a few different storylines there. Some minor upsets. I think I know it happened in the previous one, but Jeffrey being Ding is an upset, and the way it happened was remarkable. I mean, the disconnect and then the Armageddon. So, but everybody deserving winners all around. Some people had a much smoother road, and I'm curious if that actually is a good thing or a bad thing, because getting an Armageddon out of the way, getting maybe even a loss out of the way, that can be helpful if you're still in it and you've already had that experience. I do imagine you're more warmed up, and okay, a match might take up to an hour. It's not like it's 3 hours or 4 hours where you might be tired. The players should just be finding their form now. You know, it does not. It's only been an hour of playing. Where some of the guys who went through an Armageddon, I think they might be better prepared for this.
For sure. And we want to remind you that there are 16 total players, 12 from the Grand Prix point leaderboard, and 4 wild cards. It is a double elimination bracket. So the players who you just saw lose, people like Parham, they still have a chance if they win out in the losers bracket, because at the very end, the winner of the winners bracket and the winner of the loser bracket face off in the grand final for a first place prize of $30,000. $30,000. It's such a big number, I can't get it and say it. And handsome prizes all around, even the minimum prize, $5,000. That can buy you a lot. The schedule is very straightforward. Today is the winners of the initial round, and we're about to see the quarterfinals. Tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, the finals continue. Mark your calendars. The start time is exactly the same every day. Okay, the stage is set for the quarterfinals. The games will go on simultaneously as they already have, and we will toggle between them. It's going to be exciting.
Yep. Any predictions?
Any predictions? Well, I'm really excited about this Jeffrey Wesley match. I mean, I'm dodging your question because I have a good record right now, 1.5 out of 2.
I'm trying to get you
I don't want to sully my record.
Yeah.
I'm going to predict, I'm going to make a bold prediction. I think Jeffrey's going to win this match. I feel like he was going to be emboldened by the Ding match, and Wesley had some signs of weakness I think
I agree. I think Wesley was a bit shaky in both games of his match against Josman. So I kind of agree with you there that there might be some smart money going on Jeffrey here to score an upset. But Wesley's been here before. He's extremely experienced, so maybe he can just shake off the first round. I mean, he did win 2-0, but shake it off, and he'll find his form for the second one. Because it was a little shaky.
Well, Wesley's reputation precedes him. Let's take a quick look at his hired player resume. His tournament resume is absolutely incredible. He's the reigning Fischer Random World Champion, a 3-time U.S. champion. Apparently, he makes the Chess.com board as small as possible so he can play faster. I had never heard of that until pretty recently, but apparently a lot of people do that. We will see if it pays off in the RCC. Do you do that? No, you don't do that because you stream, obviously.
I generally don't, so we don't. But I'm in my office and I have like a 34-inch monitor. Mm-hmm. So I don't put it on maximum. I don't make it really small, but I don't put it on maximum when I don't have to, because it's like so much work to drag everything around on these like huge monitors. So I totally get why people do it, but I don't do it like on a laptop or on a normal screen so much, but I totally get why. And for slow people like me, it can be a little helpful. But I saw like a photo of Wesley a few years ago. He had a huge screen and the board was like a tiny part of it. So like, yeah, he takes it to a level. I understand not going like full screen and shrinking a little bit, but yeah, because if you're streaming, yeah, you have to be consistent, and I can't really play around with it so much.
So what do we make of this preparation by Jeffrey? He's got over 10 minutes. The big question in this scotch, what happens if black takes on e5? What horrible things befall black's position if he grabs the central pawn?
I guess rook e1.
Oh, and maybe d6. There's some sort of c5 tactics. I mean, white can also take c6.
There could be c5, there could be taking c6. Maybe taking on c6, and then like, yeah, I'm guessing taking on c6. This is probably all preparation. I think the scotch is like, it's a bit more of a common choice in rapid. If your opponent doesn't have enough time to remember the theory, they can fall into trouble. If they do remember, okay, you're probably not going to get anything, but I understand the try. There's some forcing variations, and he's going to check Wesley's preparation in these open positions.
Rook a b8 is full of venom, because what could happen here, and I've seen a lot of scotch games go down like this, these sacrifices on c4 are pretty thematic. Like if white moves the knight away from d2, black can snap on c4 and then sack on b2, and the queen bishop battery is absolutely deadly. So Jeffrey keeps his knight on d2 and embarks on another very thematic idea, the h pawn storm. Looks pretty good to me.
It does. I mean, are there some knight a4 ideas here? Are there some like knight a4 right now? I'm just curious.
No, that looks great. So if you take,
you gave the ideas.
Bang, bang, and then there's a mate coming on b2. Though this is over. Does white have a move here? Because if you move the bishop back, obviously,
Queen a3, yeah,
this is totally out of the question. Oh, bishop d4, I think, is the move.
So if c5, then bishop a1.
Yeah, and if you take taking loses to rook a1, and you lose the knight. And if c5, then you drop the bishop back, indeed.
But with bishop d4, maybe it continues knight c5 or taking on e5. I don't know. It gets sharp. Wesley might not want to go for some of these lines because he's assuming, hey, Jeffrey's prepared this. It probably doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. We'll see how comfortable. But based on the clock situation
it's on the
already,
board.
Based on the clock situation, Jeffrey's still in his prep.
Yeah, and this is exactly what you wanted for Jeffrey. You want to drag Wesley into early time pressure, because that's the only spot where he's shown signs of weakness consistently, is when he's got, when you're in a time scramble, that's Jeffrey's best chance. So excellent preparation for Jeffrey, and we'll see if Wesley can navigate the twists and turns in this position without having seen it before. Not easy to out-prepare Wesley, let me put it that way.
No.
Okay, so in
He
the
makes the
meantime,
practical choice. Bring the knight back, maybe put it to e6, and prepare to play d6 or c5. And you want to get access to that king on c2. It's easier said than done, but if you don't do that, then you have to take on e5. There's two options: try to just bust open the queen side, or target the c5 pawn.
right, and he's going back to c5 as you prescribed. And let's take a look at the other game. We've got 2 games at a time here in the quarterfinals. And the other game is Nepo against Dubov, rather, with the white pieces against Jan Nepomniachtchi. Another Catalan. What's with the Catalan? It's like the new Berlin. Everybody's playing it.
I noticed that. Yeah, I mean, I lost to it against Anish. Everyone's playing it. I don't know. I guess it's just how trends work. But white's getting some playable positions or dynamic positions, maybe some sacrificial positions, which have some practical value, like some
This is
imbalances.
so Dubov. This position is so Dubov.
Yeah, black is up a pawn, but white has all these nasty checks and stuff, right? Maybe queen c3 is being threatened right now. I wouldn't want this against Dubov, but there's a guy who can defend. I can calculate through it all. It's Jan. It's somebody who's you know. He meets fire with fire.
Oh, he certainly does. Their styles are similar, but Dubov in these types of positions as steady as an oak. Okay, that wasn't his last name. Basically means oak in Russian. So
that's
hilarious pun. Yeah, very funny. Queen e5, centralizing the queen, attacking e2.
But he's going to be putting the queen on h8, right?
Of course. After knight f3, no, I think there's no other square, right?
There's no other square.
Beautiful.
So we might see this.
Might have a move here.
And is this theory? Is this Dubov's prep?
I would not put it past him.
Queen d2, knight c6, maybe queen f4.
Something like this, yeah. But okay, get some pieces.
Doesn't this look scary?
Yeah.
This looks like there's definitely compensation.
Hey, I mean, Jan survived game 1 against Fabiano Caruana in a -5 position when he wasn't castled. So this is like child's play to him.
Yes.
This is like,
he's warmed up.
I'm taking this any day. And of course he's down on the clock. What's this? Is the spirit of Grischuk possessing him? What is this? And there it is. Good catch by you. Queen h8 is on the board.
Only move.
Yeah.
And now I want to bring my queen on c2 towards the king, but harass pieces. That's why queen d2, looks attractive. Maybe there's something else. Maybe e4, right? Maybe just e4 and try to blow open the king. That's another option.
Actually, Daniel loves these types of moves. Remember G5 in his last game against Maxime? He loves to use his pawns to clear the bushes, like wielding a machete, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And it's on the board.
I don't want to think about too many chess players with machetes because
sorry for the violent analogy.
No, they're just going to be very clumsy. Not even violent.
It might end up in the wrong macheting the wrong thing. Queen takes c4 is forced. Now knight e5 was a threat, so Nepo deploying his bishop to c6. The Evalbar not liking it.
Do you think it's something like queen f4, or something more subtle than queen g4?
Yeah, I think a lot of people would automatically give this check, but what you really want is to optimize the knight. So by playing queen f4, you're setting up the huge threat of knight e5. I think queen f4 is highly unpleasant for black.
This position looks bad. It just like,
I would avoid this
too
with
much compensation.
I wouldn't touch this with a 10-inch pull with black, especially against Dubov.
A 10-inch pull and a 10-foot pull.
10-foot pull. Oh my god. Long day, long commentary, etc., etc. Queen f4 is on the board. And if you have to play bishop takes f3, that's a terrible sign
think you
for
have
black
to,
because
though.
that's a huge concession. And again, we have an opposite colored bishop position where, the attacker greatly benefits from that transformation.
Yeah,
And he
but I don't
plays
think you
it.
can allow knight e5. That was
No,
looking
you
like it was just
cannot.
absolutely game over.
No, you absolutely have to do that. Can you get away with queen takes b2 afterward? I mean, I know the answer is no. I guess what I'm asking is why not?
Why
Bishop
wouldn't
f3,
you be
queen
able
b2.
to? You are a greedy guy. So
Yes, sir, I
maybe
am.
do you think it's just like knight f6 check and knight g4 or something?
Oh, that's a really cool idea, actually. Knight g4, defending and attacking. Look at that. So I guess after knight g4, knight f6, black has to play king f8 and king e7.
Yeah, you're gonna get your knight back to e4, so it feels like there should be compensation, like more than compensation, I should say. But
Whoa, he played it
curious.
immediately.
Queen b2.
No, knight f6 check.
Oh, knight f6 check
Mezzo.
first to avoid it. That makes sense.
Dubov never does what you think he'll do.
The queen b2 move made sense.
Oh. And he's going to take the rook. He gives up the queen, but he gets a wagon load of material for it. What does he take on d1 with? That's the big question here.
Well, let's look at taking with a rook first, because then you can make the argument that he took with the bishop.
He took with the bit, which to me seems very unintuitive because it appears that the presence of more heavy pieces should favor the attacker. But he believes that white cannot deploy the rook easily. Oh my god, how many forks are being... Ugh.
By the way, we have a photo of Wesley So's chess setup that I was alluding to. The optimal, this is what peak performance looks like, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, this is making me nauseous.
Peak performance. I could not, no, this is the photo I've seen. I could not, that's too much wasted space. Let me at least put like, no,
My brain is throwing a blue screen of death when I see that. Like, how is that
but
possible?
then you don't get distracted. You're just focused on, yeah, the larger the screen or the board size, I don't know, maybe more opportunity to get distracted. I'm not sure. Maybe it's opposite. Maybe I'd open up more tabs if I was not using most of my screen, but that's the chess setup. So that's peak performance.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. In the meantime, white did end up picking up the knight on a5, but Nepo gets a consolation prize. He eliminates the b pawn, which means he's got to pass c pawn, and that pawn is rearing to go. God, and Jeffrey's position is really interesting too. Where do we go?
Stay on. Up to you.
Here.
I like both. Yeah. But
let's stay here for a little while, just until the smoke clears.
Exactly.
I have an idea. So start with Rook b1, and then the goal is to sack on b2, if and only if you can win that pawn.
And ideally win it like without giving black any moves, because if you can win the pawn and the bishop, you're good. Queen versus two rooks with that H pawn and the open king, I think is good. But I
he
think
takes
Nepo's
a different
gonna try
approach.
to avoid it.
Dubov takes a different approach. He halts the progress of the pawn for the time being. I'm going to make a bold prediction and say Nepo wins this. Do you think I'll go 3 for 3?
You're giving me good odds. I'll take Dubov winning this.
Okay. Handshake.
But I see where you're coming from.
What bothers me about the long-term prospect here is that if white is not able to generate play against black's king, maybe h4, h5 should be considered. It seems like eventually Nepo will coordinate, and once this pawn reaches c3, it's a 3-result game.
Agreed. No, I mean, and I think with black's king is safe. There's no material on the board that can really harass the king. You could say you can push the h pawn down the board. It's a bit slow, and even then, you don't have anything on the dark squares to add more fuel to the fire. I can see Nepo taking over this game pretty easily, but I gotta stick with Dubov because he can't win this kind of position. It's bread and butter. He attacked. He wants some material. He's got to be able to round out the game, to finish the game,
for sure,
with the way he started it, and that means he needs to convert this, even though it's going to be tough. So
Time pressure creeping in, but the position has stabilized. I propose a very quick detour to the Jeffrey game, and then we can go back. Because this game is also heating up with Wesley. Seems to have the better placed pieces. He's got the very active rooks. White's king tucked away in the corner. No clue how to evaluate this position.
Wesley's king looks safe to me. Maybe it isn't, but it actually looks quite safe.
No, it is.
And I prefer black.
Yeah, there's all sorts of shenanigans going on. Wesley offers a draw with Jeffrey declined. Can you believe that? Jeffrey. Nerves of steel is understating it.
Yes.
Stronger than steel.
Well, the material's even. He played this opening to push Wesley, and he hasn't pushed Wesley enough yet. Like, he needs to see this out. I mean, he played this opening. He wanted to open things up. He wanted to get to the king. He doesn't want to admit defeat and grab the draw here. The position's not bad for him. It's just unclear, and I like his decision. I do think he needs to bring it to Wesley.
But he should repeat.
But
I don't see any alternatives.
Yeah.
Now, Wesley could sack the queen, but he's not going to do it because the knight can land on f6 on demand to cancel out the bishop. So, is a repetition in the cards here? Or will Jeffrey do something crazy? Jeffrey Zhang will play rook df1 maybe.
Jeffrey and Beverly.
Jeffrey. But rook df1, the queen can maneuver to e3.
Yes. And it's probably not helping White at all to commit all their rooks to the queen, which actually becomes more centralized. So I agree with you. I think objectively, go for the draw here.
Wesley's tempted, and it's like that old trick, when there's a perpetual and you don't want to draw, you wait until you have 5 seconds and then make a move to tempt your opponent into playing. You know what I'm talking about? Because
I've done
you think
that.
you can
I've
win
also
it.
backfired. Yes.
Oh, when it backfires. But when it works, it's the best feeling ever.
Oh! Whoa.
Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Rook takes f4. Does he want rook takes b2? He does.
And then
what a
after
position.
knight c3, rook takes b3.
With mate threats galore.
Can you harass that bishop? Can you go like oh, that is queen d5, rook takes b3 and rook a3 mate.
No, you didn't.
Oh.
Bang, bang, bang.
Oh,
Ladder mate.
Wesley. He's
you
like,
don't want to draw?
And I took offense to that when the draw got turned down. Like,
okay. You don't want to draw? You don't get one.
Uh-oh.
Jeffrey's in big trouble here.
That is a nasty variation, and it's so hard to find a move. He's got a minute and a half.
Clock dwindling. What is the actual... the threat is rook takes b3 check, right?
Yes.
Okay, so knight c3, rook takes b3. That just looks totally lost, actually.
It is. Yeah, it looks definitely lost.
It looks awful.
And then in some lines, you can just take the rook on f4 while you're waiting.
I have no idea. Knight c3, rook takes b3, rook f3.
What idea
rook
is
takes
that?
a3, queen a2.
Then rook takes c3.
Oh, you don't... I love this. You don't take the queen, you take the knight with a totally devastating discovery. 50 seconds. Jeffrey's not finding a move here. Knight f6 check. Doesn't do much on account of king h8. Oh, and then rook d4. But still rook takes b3.
Something seems off here.
Oh, man. That draw for looking real good right now.
Yeah.
Knight g4 is a move as well. Knight d7.
No, this is
Ooh. Whoa, what a liquidation. Jeffrey found the best line. The only way to stay
I think there's like a million ways to lose that. And this one, you're down 2 pawns, but all of Black's pawns are weak, including the A pawns. So there's still some holding chances. You just need to contain.
We need to go back to the other game because pandemonium is on the board.
These games are awesome, but like,
amazing.
I'm just like,
we don't know what to turn to.
There's imbalances, right? Just imbalances. People going for wins, sacking material.
With both colors,
really good
by
defense.
the way, which is amazing.
So we got a king walk here. Is it good? Is it bad?
F5, king F4, bishop H6, king E5. Pray to God.
No, but then
Okay,
there's
what
rook
is-
d5, right? Oh, then there's rook c8 check in the end. Yeah, got it.
Too many pawns is
Yes.
the point. You don't just want to win white's queen back. You want to win it back on your terms. Rook d5 immediately is also a tricky move to consider. King f7, trying to walk the king up to g6 and set up mate threats.
I like king f7 because you want to pass the decision back to your opponent. They're low on time. Their king's in the open. You don't want to make a forcing move. You want to make like a tricky, small, improving move.
And he goes for that first line.
No, but that loses.
But this is not going to cut it. Rook c8 check.
What's going to happen now? How is your bet going to somehow work itself out?
Dubov's going to blunder a rook. I don't know. No, this is winning. But I can see why Nepo was tempted by this. This doesn't look like +4. Bishop h3 is a threat.
Don't scare me like that. He's going to pick up the pawn.
And then Nepo plays f3, and he's got an inkling of hope.
That's true. There's always chances when you get the pawn on f3, bishop on e2, and you can go like bishop e3.
But Dubov wants to play with no risk, and that might have just backfired. I think Nepo will hold the draw.
Yeah, the split pawns is tough. But the 10 seconds doesn't help either. It's going to be hard to be precise.
Still trying to hold that end game.
Oh.
And can you take on f2? Yeah, why not? And you can even give up one of your bishops for the pawn, either one.
I think we're going to see that. Just don't blunder your rook as white. Dubov could still lose. Be careful about your king.
Draw by repetition. Nepo saves it. And back we go to the Jeffrey game.
That's an impressive hold by Nepo.
It most certainly is.
Crazy game as well.
And Jeffrey's about to go down.
Here, yeah, Wesley in a winning technical position. Oof.
Absolute buzzsaw. God, Wesley. I wish Wesley was in the candidates. The way his form right now is out of this world. It's out of this world. I mean, the consistency, the precision in crazily complex positions.
Yeah, I mean, he just switched gears, like from offering a draw to like a couple moves later sacking your queen. I mean, it's like you're switching gears psychologically, like in your head, like, and playing that all like perfectly. Just shows like a lot of range there that makes him so dangerous. He can play anything, anywhere, and play it at a top 10, top 5 level.
No words, and don't breathe because the next game is already underway. And all Wesley needs with the white pieces is a draw.
Yes, try to beat Wesley so with black on demand.
Oh my god.
I wonder if there's anybody harder to beat with black.
No. I mean, maybe Hikaru, but I mean, comparably difficult.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah. What would you play? What do you think about imbalancings?
Well, first of all, Jeffrey needs to make sure he's back at the computer. The thing I don't do is spot Wesley so a minute. That's what you don't do.
He's maybe taking a bathroom break or just thinking about what to play because it's a dilemma. What do you play against Wesley when you need to win on demand with black?
That another gracious move. Wesley added time back to Jeffrey's clock. He added until he had 10 minutes. So sweet.
Aw. Some feel-good moments today.
Absolutely. What haven't we had? We've had wholesome moves.
We need opposite of that.
Board.
We need chaos. We need drama. We've had.
Just wait until the finals. Until the final of the finals. I think a Benko Gambit is the order of the day. There it is.
The prophet.
But I mean, it was either that or a Benoni, and I do know that Jeffrey has played the Benko before. But thank you.
Okay. That's okay.
I see what you did there. I appreciate it. Ugh. Wesley knows everything, doesn't he?
No, but the Benko he's. I mean, just try to get an unexplored position against Wesley, and that's tough enough.
Okay, but Jeffrey might have succeeded. He's gotten Wesley to think here.
Yeah,
Obviously, White is better.
He's trying to change up the move order, right? Bishop e7 first, and then delay d6 for a moment. Maybe go for, I don't know, an e6. I'm not exactly sure, but he needs an idea. You need an idea against Wesley.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of lines that contributed to the Benko declining in popularity at the top level, and this is one of them. Putting the pawn on e3 like this didn't used to be popular before the computer age, but now computers just insist that Black has insufficient compensation. You know, you can bang your head against the wall, but White's just better. But there's tension, you know, Jeffrey forcing Wesley into some early decisions.
Well, just seeing Wesley spend 90 seconds, like he's down to 8.5 minutes, that's a good sign for Jeffrey. Because you want to know that your opponent's not in familiar territory. You want to know your decision has at least paid off in that sense, that you're playing against Wesley, the man, and not Wesley, the man plus the preparation. And I think he can feel a bit comfortable there.
For sure.
And we saw like Jocelyn played non-theoretical game 2 and a must-win game against Wesley, and actually ended up getting something. I mean, granted it was with White, but still managed to get something there. So
yeah, but the way he played it, he might as well have been Black. Like he didn't really squeeze the most out of his first move advantage with h3. So what are the candidate moves that Wesley's agonizing over? B takes a6 is of course one of them, and the drawback, if I understand this correct, is that it allows the knight a first-class ticket to b4.
Yes.
So that's the downside of that. But if you play a developing move, then Black can force a very similar scenario with a takes b5 and knight a6, knight b4.
Mm-hmm. So is there another move we can make? E4, H3, E4, E6?
But okay, bishop g5 maybe.
Yeah, then Black has to go H6, G5. No, but I'm not scared as White either, but Jeffrey's gonna mess things up on the board. We know he has to. So
I can see why Wesley doesn't necessarily want a chaotic position like that. He finally makes a move, bishop c4.
Because I'm getting the feeling,
adds Tabasco sauce.
He's more of an E6 style than the slow D6, knight BD7 Benko. He's going for E6, and he's going for maybe like some sort of D5 potential. So a bit of a different take on the Benko than a lot of the standard positions that arise.
What does Pal get at
if
the
you take on
Japanese
E6? Is there? What's sorry?
I was about to share the greatest pun of all time, and you're interrupting by analyzing the game.
Oh no! That's why I realized it right away. Sorry.
What does Pal order at the Japanese restaurant?
What is
Benko
Pal?
box? All right, now to the less important things. What were you saying?
No. I'm distracted now. I no comment from me. Thinking about the Benko box.
Right. It's so witty. Now, generally, if Black can get an isolated pawn on t5, that's a pretty good sign. I don't dislike Jeffrey's position here. d6. But of course, this pawn is extremely well defended. That's why Wesley put a bishop on c4. He anticipated this.
Yeah, White wants to play what? H3, bishop f4, b3, the usual moves.
Yeah, I think bishop. But Jeffrey preparing 94 against bishop
That's
f4.
why every tempo matters for Black right now. You play a move like d6, you might just be too slow to get your like compensation. Rook a3 looks correct. Looks class.
That's such a smooth move because it takes the sting out of 94 because 94 will no longer threaten to take on e3. Will enable White to continue his development.
So what do you do as Black here? The ball's been passed back.
And Jeffrey passes the ball right back to Wesley. Plays really the only move of this kind that he has. But when Wesley plays h3, for example, Jeffrey will have to actually embark on something.
There's some positions maybe with a rook on a3. Like I know it's a standard move. Maybe it gets a little misplaced if you end up playing pawn to b3 as white, and black's bishop opens up. Maybe it's hard to get the rook back into the game. Okay, he went bishop a6. I guess he's just counting on this long-term pressure on d5 being worth something, especially he wants maybe the Benko idea of sliding the queen from d8 to a8. So if you trade, then queen a8, and it's what's the third defender for white for this d5 pawn? It's going to be hard to figure out. There might be knight b5 or something, but I think we get what Jeffrey's doing, and I like it for an attempt.
Yeah, this is as good as it. I was going to point out a knight b5, bishop back to b7, but Wesley is in general more than happy to repeat. Obviously, Jeffrey will not repeat. That loses the match. He's got Wesley down to 5 minutes also, and it's only 16 moves in. He's up 4 minutes on the clock. That's like being up a pawn.
Yep.
So
depending on who you're playing, pawn, half pawn, but it's definitely definitely significant.
Well, we will see what he comes up with. Shall we take a quick peek at our second game?
Yes.
We've got Jan with the white pieces. Oh my god, what a terrible position for Dubov. He can't move.
Bishop e7 is what? Forced almost, right? Because bishop c5 is bishop d8. Bishop b4 there's probably something else. But this is like, usually you have this position and black's up a pawn. And white is still doing well.
Sure, black was up a pawn. I thought, oh, it's a 4-on-3 on the king side. And then I realized, no, it's a 4-on-4.
Even material, and you have this is as bad as it gets. Open a file, bishop on g2, d file.
I mean, look at this.
Pawn on c4. No, but this is... And this is extremely uncomfortable for players like Dubov that thrive with activity, tactics, flow, creativity. Here he's just going to be sat on, and he's not going to have any counterplay at all. Nepo likes tactics, but he's a very strong tactician when he needs to be. This is depressing. I know, like this is like easy prediction. Like this is a loss, and it's going to be like a loss where Nepo has 5 minutes on the clock and Dubov has like 10 seconds.
Right.
Because Nepo feeds off of like, when he's rolling, when he's feeling good, like kind of like in the candidates, he can just blow through elite players. He just plays all the moves instantly, and in this is a position that you can start really playing all the moves instantly and putting your opponent just in a real serious box.
Yeah, this phrase is overused by overconfident chess players, but this position really does play itself. I mean, the pawns are itching to be pushed. C5, b4. I mean, in the 50s, they'd probably resign this position.
Yes.
I would
resign before you get your team to when the adjournment. You don't want to have the guys jump in and figure out all the different ways to needle this.
Look at that. Instantly. He played c5 in less than a second.
Yeah. C5, b4. Bishop on g2. Complementary.
C6
and it's like
a flat-out threat, by the way.
When you play Dubov and you think about what he's good at, what you're worried about, how he can beat you, this is the just ideal situation to have Dubov on the back foot with zero counterplay. Most of your dangers are gone. He's going to bring the king to e7, f6, rook d8. Is he in time?
King e7, I think Wesley. Nepo is cooking something up here.
f4? No.
Rook. I thought rook a4, rook b4, but that doesn't seem too convincing. Okay, worst comes to worst, you can always play rook d1 if you want to prevent rook d8. So, okay, we're expecting f6, because if you play rook d8 immediately, obviously, you cannot really afford to drop a pawn in this position. That's the last thing you want.
Yeah.
What's worse than this position? Isolated. This position down a pawn.
Yes.
So f6 is going to happen.
Do you play f4 after f6? This is my idea, right? My idea is to take f4, rook d8, fe5, fe5, rook f1. So then you can meet rook f6 with rook d6 with rook f7 check.
Absolutely gorgeous. Rook takes d6, and we can pull up an analysis board here just to illustrate this line. Rook f7 check. Intermezzo. King has to move. You take d6. And it's time to administer the last rites. But Nepo, he goes for the more mundane rook d1.
I like that as well.
Also good.
Yeah.
Rook b8. What if black tries to get the bishop out?
I think you have to play f4, by the way. You need to create some targets somehow. Like
Yes.
f4, king f2. You got to target a7 or e5 or b7. Yeah, I guess those are the 3 targets. But
yeah, I mean, the way that you spoil, that you fritter away your advantage if you're white is if this rook disappears from the board, if black can trade a pair of rooks, the lion's share of the advantage evaporates, unless you can win the b7 pawn, for example. But Dubov a5 trying to do something. You can also have bishop takes b7, rook d7, but probably unnecessary.
so here, are you supposed to play rook back to a1? Okay, you just keep pushing.
I mean,
So-
now bishop b7 is devastating.
Oh yeah, you got bishop b7. Okay, so a4. Bishop
Yeah,
b7.
you'll get something like bishop b7, rook d7, king e6, and probably here g4 maybe.
Yeah, might as well throw that in. Why not?
No, that was very. What's
Oh.
what's the blunder here? Oh, rook e7. Ooh.
No, we're not very good there. Yeah.
Nope. Okay, all of this has happened, but he did not blunder for whatever reason. Oh wait, or did he? He played e4 instantly. Dubov plays rook e7, and the crazy thing, Eric, is if you have a rook trade, Nepo might
Black
have
king can pick up the pawns.
b6, a2. Now you don't have time for b7, and rook a1, king d7, and this is a draw. Holy smokes.
Yeah, so white needs a better version of that, where the pawns maybe are a little bit better. So I was looking at like rook b6 check, worst case, and then king f7, then c6. So then if a2, you go rook a1, and
He goes rook
like,
a1 straight away.
you want to be left with the b pawn, not the c pawn, as an outsider. If you end up being in a pawn up endgame, so that black's king has to travel, further away. So I think he wants to make sure he's left with the b pawn, and that's what I'm thinking. C6, and like, okay, now there's ideas. Obviously, like rook a6 is being threatened right now to win the game on the spot. So rook a7
Right.
is almost forced, unless there's like a rook a5 or something.
And there is, and he plays it, but apparently it loses even faster. So c6 is going to happen.
C6. Yeah.
Does that just end it? C6.
Well, the thing is, the king on f7 is poorly placed here in terms of like stopping it. So c6. Okay, well, c6. Let's continue.
Okay.
C6, rook c7.
I think rook b. Oh, rook b8. Yeah, maybe rook b8. I mean, this doesn't hurt.
No, because you can't move the king.
Black-
Let's say king g6. I'll just go king g6 for the sake of it.
And amazingly, white could even just king f1, king e2, king
Yep.
c4. It just
Yep.
black is paralyzed. There's no further progress to be made.
Yeah. Yep. So this was a good line. Black's king is not involved, and if the king's not involved, the two rooks can't really deal with the two connected passers.
So maybe Dubov could have defended more resiliently, but this is not the kind of game that you really can save.
Yeah, and he can't be too.
King
happy
e6
about
maybe
this.
is the last ditch attempt. No, rook c7 is on the board. You don't even need rook b8. You can play king f1 straight away. I just think it's a good idea to immobilize the rook even further.
Well, rook b8 stops king e6 because then you have b6, rook c6, b7 with rook e8 check. So I do like rook b8. Actually.
The other
King
game
e6. You might as well bring your king in as your black.
Yeah, you have nothing to lose. I mean, position is already totally hopeless. And he plays it, and rook b8 instantly follows. No, this is not going to go his way. I think Wesley's also in trouble. We should switch to that game at some point.
Wesley's in trouble.
I think so. All right, we can trust Nepo to convert this. This game is over.
Agreed.
And we have the following position with Jeffrey all over him. He's won the pawn back.
Well, when you win the pawn in the Benko, especially the C pawn, then you're usually very happy.
This just
D5
looks
is loose, A4 is loose, and
horrendous.
but this is, you don't see Wesley in positions like this very often, where it's just like
No.
lacks coordination and just has like pieces sticking out like sore thumbs, just hanging pieces. I'll tell you
And
what,
it's-
if Jeffrey wins on demand with black, that is like so impressive on a scale. Like he's like immediately like won the day or something for the gesture with Ding, and then just like the clutch win. If you were to do that, like I'd have to give him the MVP of the day, almost no matter what happens.
No, it would be unbelievable. But the game is obviously still going, and I think the hope for White is that he can stabilize the situation. He can avoid the immediate tactics. Also to be noted is the back rank. This is a common situation where the Luft square is occupied by that darned bishop.
Yes.
Not a fire. This is a fire risk. Bishop on h2.
Yeah, it's blocking the fire escape, right?
In case of elevator failure, yeah, the stairs are blocked by the bishop. And whoa, rook d5, bishop c3. And case in point, like, if you play rook takes d6, I think... Ooh. No, bishop e5 doesn't work because the queen, when it takes on c4, can block a check with queen f1. Can you believe that?
I can now.
But rook b2, I think, looks pretty
And then
devastating.
What do you want to do? Queen d1?
Queen d1.
I'm trying to find the win, and it's hard to see. I mean, maybe it's there.
Rook b8. Ugh.
You're allowing... Can I go rook d8 and trade off and queen back to d1? Or no?
There have been...
It feels good for black, but I'm sure there's a move. I'll let you find it.
Okay, this is on the board. And Jeffrey up a pawn now in the endgame. This looks like only a couple of steps away from winning.
Pass pawns. Yeah. I don't think that a pawn's going to push. I mean, yeah, best case scenario, you push your pawn all the way to a7, and your bishop on h2 swings all the way to b8 to lock in that pawn. That's not happening. Rook a6, shuts the door, defends d6, and Jeffrey has extremely good technique. So right now, I think he's looking at his king on g8, and he's like, I want my king on d5. I want to bring my king in, support the pawns, bring all the pieces in, and start pushing.
And he's up on time, which is the cherry on top. Wesley below a minute, and we know that he's been a little bit flustered in time pressure. As good of a defender as he is. This looks like Jeffrey is just within a couple of steps.
This bishop on d4 is worth at least a rook.
Yes, it is just holding the whole position together. Maybe Wesley regretting giving Jeffrey those extra 45 seconds at the start. He's like, wait, can I have those back, actually? I forgot that
So rook b4, I
loaned them to you.
Shuts off another file. And I do want to play f5 and king f7 and king e6 and king d5. I don't know why. Want to bring the king in. Otherwise, you can probably push without it, but it feels like the king could be a useful participant.
Like I've seen people do that in the endgame sometimes, bring the king in.
Yeah.
Relatively new idea.
But bishop e3, Wesley's going to try to play bishop e3 right now, right? I don't know. And the other thing is,
this I thought was winning, but it's actually logistically, it's not that great because even rook f3 defends the bishop and opens up the attack on d6. What you do not want to do with black, correct me if I'm wrong, is trade the a pawn for the d pawn, for example, unless you can ensure that you're doubling on the second rank, for example.
Yes. And it's official, I see here, that Nepo has advanced.
Yeah. Nepo has won. Ooh. Bishop h6, trying to set up some mate threats. And maybe now's the best time for f5.
It is. It is a good time for f5 and king f7.
Yeah, because otherwise, White gets rook to e1. I think that's what Jeffrey's deciding between. I think he knows he's moving the f-pawn, trying to figure out where to put it.
F6, sometimes you can play g5 and trap the bishop. Not necessarily there, but it's actually not too far away. f6, king f7, g5, and the bishop is almost trapped.
And then rook b2 becomes totally devastating because the bishop can't come back to e3 in that case.
Yeah. I think he's going to go f6. I think F6 somehow is takes away more squares.
His own clock
But
is
if I'm
dwindling.
Jeffrey, I want to maintain the time advantage. I don't want to get down to
Yes.
30 seconds like Wesley. You have a pawn and you have the time. Don't give away one of them. You have easy moves to play here. Not necessarily the best moves, but easy moves. F6 is a move you can play in 2 seconds. Yeah, got to play a little bit quicker.
Yeah, the big issue here, when you get down to a time scramble, there's always uncertainty. Bishop b3 is an excellent move.
And that's an excellent response, though.
Or is it? Isn't there rook a2, d4, and rook b... No. Oh, bishop d2 and rook b1. Oh my god, Jeffrey might have pinned himself. Oh, my lands. Eric, do you see the problem?
Yes, yes.
D4, bishop d2. Rook
and
has
bishop
no
C3 wouldn't be good.
defended squares on the b file, and white goes rook b1. Oh my
You're
gosh.
right. You're right. You're winning an exchange there.
And that means Jeffrey has to go here, but this is now very close to a draw. Rook c1.
So rook c1, rook b3,
rook b3,
king e2, no.
rook b2 check. I think Wesley has to find the best. I think he should keep all of the rooks on the board.
So he should take on c3 and then put the other rook on c2.
Rook d1, because you've got this counterplay based on black's king weakness.
Yes. Yeah, the 7th rank, 6th rank. Use those.
No, this should be a draw. Now Jeffrey's lower on time. Rook
so now
d5.
Rook d6 and rook c6 or that. Yeah. And now rook c6 next move probably, right? To cut off the king. Or
even rook c7 check and just go after the pawn.
Yeah.
Jeffrey trying to shoehorn white's king onto an awkward spot. But it might go to the center. King d2 or king d3. Can go king f3, but then you risk getting checkmated. 4 seconds for Wesley.
He's calculating
1 second for Wesley.
1 second. Oh, man.
Oh, here we go, guys.
Wesley just needs to draw this, clinch this match. Is he going for a king walk?
Rook g1 attacking the pawn.
He's going to put his pawn on h4. Maybe g5. Maybe g5
Yeah, I was
right
thinking
now.
the same exact thing. Rook c7 check. No. King e2. He's going to win the pawn back. King f3.
Wesley's making progress here. I mean, Jeffrey really needs to find a move.
That's it. He's going to take c5.
Oh, king g2.
Why is he take e7, take c5? It's a draw. Unless his internet fails, unless he blunders a rook. Oh, that was a dangerous free move, but okay.
yes, it was.
And Jeffrey graciously admitting defeat with a draw. Holy smokes, what a game. What an effort by Jeffrey. Didn't pan out, but man, oh man, did he die trying.
No, Wesley had to find some tough moves at the end. He found the right move at the right moment. That was the only chance, I think, in the last little bit where we actually saw a position that was playable for white. It was looking awful. And as soon as he had the one moment, he took it. Even though you only had 20 seconds, he saw it. And the precision needed to put away guys like Wesley is high. And Jeffrey was pretty much there today. I mean, that was an awesome effort with black. But maybe the loss with white in the first game is haunting him. The draw offer.
Yes, an incredible first 2 games of the quarterfinals. And the best news is that we have 2 more games to play, and they will include Hikaru Nakamura. So whatever plans you have for the afternoon, cancel them. You will not want to miss the other 2 quarterfinal matches to determine who stays in the winner's bracket and who has to climb. Wow. Incredible day so far. You're watching the Rapid Chess Championship Finals presented by Coinbase, and we will be back with the rest of the quarterfinals in just a couple short moments. Welcome back to the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. Now, we spent a good part of the break trying to decipher a particular view of Wesley So's RCC setup, and we're just going to bring this to you without comment. I'm getting
speechless.
neural overload, short-circuiting. The chair is not where it should be. Wesley's not sitting on the chair. The computer is sitting on the chair. He's hunched over. I mean, how many things are weird about this photo?
I cannot play chess hunched over on my knees. I cannot be like crouching on a laptop. Like, I don't even know how it's possible. That's like, I've never seen that before. And I thought I've seen a lot of things in chess.
You've seen all sorts of setups, but not this one.
That setup is, it's working, right? But like, that means he's comfortable like that. I just would be so uncomfortable. I mean, he's on a carpet as well, right? Like just a carpet, not like a fluffy carpet, right? So I mean, my knees would be hurting. I'd be like super hyper, and even the posture. I mean, chess players aren't known for having good posture, and I can't say that's helping the cause.
It's
all the gaming chair companies maybe around the world are like, hey, why aren't they using the gaming chairs? Why are they on the floor?
I know, it's nuts. But in addition to all the gaming chairs, I hope the software engineers in the chat are paying attention, because if you're tired of getting random calls and texts with bad job matches, Hired connects you to over 10,000 employers worldwide through one easy dashboard. No cover letters or applications, just upfront salary data and dedicated candidate experience managers to support your incoming offers. Take control of your career with Hired. And we have a interesting question, the answer to which will be revealed tomorrow. Once again, software engineers in the chat. What do software engineers on Hired say is their least favorite programming language? Is it Objective-C? Is it Kotlin? Is it Java? Or is it C++? Objective-C, Kotlin, Java, or C++? The answer will be revealed tomorrow, but feel free to discuss in the chat. We thank Hired for sponsoring the RCC, and we hope the software engineers in the chat have something to think about. But we are about to think about the two other quarterfinal games that are going to begin. And once again, the X is on Hikaru's back, Eric. He is the one that everybody's trying to defeat, crushing Parham in the first round.
Well, everyone wants to defeat, or even better yet, everyone wants someone else to defeat him. Someone take Hikaru out of the field, then you take Hikaru out of the field, and I think a lot of the players think they have a good chance of winning the event.
Right.
But as long as he's in it, he is the big favorite. He's the big dog. So you are looking at the bracket. You're hoping someone. You got people. Yeah, everyone's rooting for Sarana right now. That's for sure.
And I think Alexei, he's got a good skill set in terms of playing Hikaru. He's pretty calm, and he also plays fast, which is critically important, because the last thing you want against Hikaru is, time pressure right out of the opening. And he plays a very interesting opening, f6. You've never seen this in this specific position. Oh, d4, queen a5 wins the bishop. How do you like that?
Can you continue in that line? Queen c3, bishop d2, queen b2, a3. There's no. I was trying to figure out if there's like a trap there or something. Imagine if there's like an opening trap where you
this was a lot. I would not put it past, or watch Hikaru blunder this, but then it turns out that that this somehow is winning for white. In any case, slightly different move by Nakamura, and they've transitioned almost into a Benoni structure with c4.
I'm excited for this matchup.
Like?
What does it look like?
This looks like a reverse Nimzo Indian f3 variation.
Yes.
But go on.
No, I was gonna say we want to see Hikaru against somebody new. If you like somebody who's like not as like afraid of Hikaru, or has a good style. Sarana prepares for these matches. He plays fast. He's practical. Hikaru particularly does really well against strong chess players that aren't necessarily like seasoned online players,
right?
Or like like particularly good at like the the practical aspect of online chess. Like he just feasts off of that. So I think, I mean, at least Sarana, he's a really, really, really good fighter, and you need to be able to frustrate Hikaru. That's one of the keys, and not many players can do that to last enough in a game to actually be able to withstand some of his pressure and make things hard. And like not everyone can do that. And Sarana, I've seen when he's really playing well, and his nerves are very impressive. So I'm hoping we see some of that and get a good fight here.
Now, an idea for white here would be to play bishop a3, because if black castles, that's already a pretty big win in terms of king safety. Positionally, black's got domination over the center. I mean, black owns the d4 square. White's center pieces are discombobulated, so Hikaru needs to find a way to keep the fans flame. What's the phrase? To fan the flames.
Yeah.
The flames fanned. There we go. Got it. He has to keep the fans flamed and the flames fanned. That's where I'm going to stop and pass the mic to you.
Go fans, go flames.
I predicted the move at least.
You did. No, you're right. He has to be very active to compensate for this. But look at Sarana's body language. He's got a hand, like he looks very calm, and he looks like he's in familiar territory.
Right. I mean, I personally wouldn't be so calm with black because you can't castle. That's clear because of bishop takes c6 and you drop the exchange.
It's not the worst exchange in the world, but you definitely can drop it. So he's not going to do it. But like, I'm looking in that direction. I'm looking in that direction that you maybe can. Like, look at how weak d3 is. Look at how weak d4 is.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be positions soon that black might even be able to sack the exchange for significant compensation on the light squares or in the center.
Just not now.
Just not now.
Just not now, because you'll be sacking something a little bit more valuable than the exchange.
Or you're going to get checkmated by Hikaru. Something's got to give here. Hikaru's got a very clear plan: attack, open up, use the bishops, keep the king in the middle. Black, get the king to safety, get the queens off.
Yeah, queen g4 came to mind as a way to offer a queen trade. Also attack g2.
Takes knight e4. Is that the scary one, or is there something else?
Yeah, no, that's among the scary options, but not the only one. I think queen b3, queen takes g2. I mean,
queen
as
g2.
Yasser likes to say, you die with a full stomach.
I would take on g2 or even play b5 there.
Oh yeah, that is also a valid point. Yeah,
you got all
tough decision for Alexi.
That was a good question, by the way, for the software engineers. I'm looking in the chat. We got a lot of people still arguing and commentating. There's a lot of software engineers.
That's awesome.
They're fighting over the languages.
It's an interesting question. We will reveal the answer tomorrow. And
big decision for Sarana here. Where do you put your queen, or do you just leave it there? Do you just leave your queen on c4?
Just develop the bishop, pretend nothing is the matter. Bishop f5.
Yep. Bishop e4 is an option. b5.
b5. Whoa. So the point, of course, is if knight takes b5, there's an intermezzo check on e4. Black wins. But what if bishop b3? Does this not send the bishop essentially where it wants to go anyway?
Queen d3 then? Or should we go queen d... Feels like we want to go queen d3 because queen g4 still runs into that knight e4 line. What do you think?
Oh yeah, queen g4. And now it's even worse because the knight... What worries me is that the knight on c6 is very loose. So once the knight moves away from c3, there's these additional problems with that knight. Yeah, I think queen d3 is Alexi's idea. And then the ball is back in Hikaru's court. In terms of, because b4, thanks to you, I now see that threat.
Well, I like that we have like just a fun position. It's just going to be like someone's going down here. Hikaru's going to be left with a messy position, like a awful position, or he's just going to kill black's king.
He did play queen g4, so Alexi sees something in that endgame which calms
so
his
queen
nerves.
g4, bishop e4, knight. Sorry, queen g4, bishop g4, knight e4.
What exactly is the threat?
Maybe you can
Or
just
it's just the
queenside-
general
you
feeling
can
of
queenside.
malaise. What were you thinking?
No, I was thinking bad moves. But no. So yeah, I can't do that. Do you have to go like b4 here or something?
I believe you
Sarana's
do.
like, he calculates well. He can handle these positions.
Yes.
Like what I mean is, a position looks like, oh, I shouldn't play that. Looks bad. He'll actually calculate it.
Hikaru blundered a piece or no? Queen takes g2? The eval bar says -7. Is queen takes g2 not just winning for black?
Yeah,
Queen takes g2. Oh my god.
just queen g2.
Rook
Knight c7,
f1.
king d7.
Okay, but rook f1.
No, but then you
Knight d5.
knight d5, rook c6.
Bishop h3
and-
resigns.
Yeah.
Oh my god. If Alexei finds queen takes g2, he wins the game. And he seems...
Hikaru wouldn't resign there. He'd play queen e2. So we
No,
might have
he'd
to-
win.
we'd
He'd
have
find a
to-
way to mate him in 3 moves.
He's gonna
This
play
is-
queen g2, Danya.
Oh my god.
my
The
goodness.
Hikaru effect strikes
This is-
again. This is unbelievable. And now,
And now
he's
Hikaru
losing.
got everything. He got exactly what he wanted. He
But how
cleared
do you miss
open the
it?
c file, and he has his knight on e3, which is an excellent square, covering g2, covering g4, f5.
I've never
d5.
seen anything like this in my life. I mean, queen g2,
The
0-1.
People believe Hikaru. Yeah, no, it's losing.
I mean, but how do you play queen e4 check with the same idea when you could take the pawn and thread and checkmate at the same time? How does that make any logical sense?
He didn't have the idea to take on g2, did he? He had the idea of just forcing the knight to go back to e3. He didn't even see the g2 pawn. He's just, that is
It's black magic. It's crazy.
that
Before, but-
was just losing. That was just dead loss. And it's not hard to calculate. Like,
No,
it's
no.
actually not hard to calculate.
Plenty of time. And Alexei is going to be furious at himself after the game. He's going to realize that this was a chance to
I don't think
send
this is a move
Hikaru into the
order
losers
thing.
bracket.
He somehow like didn't see it or didn't look for it or believe what Hikaru was doing. I don't think it was a move order thing. I think it's very clear Hikaru was putting his knight on e3.
I mean, the
Game is not over, but this is like when you get a chance against Hikaru. I mean, you don't take it. Oh man, that's when
Hikaru
you get
generally
tilted.
gives you 0 chances. When he gives you 1 chance and you don't use it, you forfeit the chance like this. You've got no chance. You know, how do you expect to beat him? It's nuts. Rook c4. I mean, this just looks awful for black now. Looks like white's got everything he could possibly ask for.
Yep. There's still some. So let's just say queen g6.
Queen g6. And apparently
the only
Hikaru
square?
saw it immediately. Bishop
I'm not-
b4.
Wait. Can we go queen d3 instead? I don't like queen g6. I take it back.
Queen d3. Bishop b4 anyway.
Now I need to find a move, but at least my king hopefully will survive. So can I go bishop e6? Bishop e6. Yes. Yes. Bishop e6.
But Alexei going knight d4. And the engine
He's a
not
sharp
liking it.
player. He is a sharp player, which is like why we're surprised he missed queen g2. But he's still like coming at Hikaru here.
Yeah, but this is not going to work. I'm still in shock. I'm in absolute shock that he missed queen takes g2. So d3 can be thrown in as an intermezzo to send the queen back. And he does. Black
That's a
doesn't
nice
have
move.
enough firepower. I mean, black's just
No.
out of fuel. There's no
No.
pieces to attack with.
White's about to castle, and then black is the one with their king stuck in the middle of the board with nothing to show for it. So d3 queen g6, you just take on b5. That was the chance. You play like a sharp opening like that where you have to be very precise. You're precise, you're doing well. You're not precise, you're dead. And I think that's just the nature of these positions. It's why it was going to be an exciting game regardless, but missed his chance.
And the nature of trusting, I think, is that it happens subconsciously. It's not like Alexei sees queen g2 and says, oh, Hikaru must have seen it. That occurs on a subconscious level and basically prevents you from taking these moves seriously against anybody else. He'd play that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. No, there's definitely a Hikaru effect.
And that was a picture perfect illustration of it. And I think we've been there. Maybe not in a rapid game, but in blitz games for sure, where you're looking at the game afterward and it's like, how on earth could I not have played this move, and won the game on the spot?
Should we check should we stay? Oh, Queen B7.
We can jump to the other game because it's really heating up as well.
This looks like it came from, I don't know, Chigorin or something, some Spanish line. But
that's exactly what it was. This is Rai Lopez written all over it in like every way.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Hopefully Sarana doesn't realize what he missed. He probably has. It's better not to know until afterwards, because otherwise you're just thinking about it like
you will not be able to play.
So hopefully he hasn't recognized it, but I have a feeling he has.
Yeah, and if he does, then I mean, I would not have the mental strength to take the next game seriously after an oversight like that. So what's happening here?
Yeah. Well, intuitively, it looks like Abdusattorov is doing well. Just the bishop pair and the control. Like, you got this knight on c4, you got h3 loose, you got g4 coming as a tactic, opening up the bishop on h6. I feels like the bishop pair should be worth something. Maybe not like a crazy amount, but how do you stop the tactics? And he's very sharp, very good at these. And look at the time, 3.5 minutes and counting.
Okay, bishop takes c4. First of all, g4 has to be reckoned with right here.
Yes.
As an intermezzo.
Absolutely.
And Noterbeck might just say, I'm not even going to calculate this. I'm just going to make the move. Let my opponent calculate it. But g3, there is the move knight d2. BC. All right, I'm done calculating this.
So rook c4, bishop e5. Exactly.
G4 is on the board. 95.
Whoa.
I saw this. I briefly noticed this, but I thought DE is winning.
DE, d6, rook c4, rook c4, rook c4, and then your queen comes in or something. Aren't you down a piece?
His idea might be to drop the bishop back. Well, that's the concept. And now d6 is a threat. And if you play bishop takes c1,
why is it a threat? Don't you have rook c4?
But rook takes c1 first.
Rook takes c1 first.
What a genius concept by the ever creative Vladimir Fedoseev.
Okay, so trade off the rooks on c2 after bishop b3.
Trade off the rooks on c2 and then it's on the board. I think he might have missed it. Oh, DC and queen d1? Queen d1? Or no, what's the win?
Why not queen d1? Why not queen d1 and queen d6?
Oh, my lands.
Why that is it, right? Queen d1, queen d6.
That's it. Bishop g5, queen d6, bishop d8. But there's got to be some move there. Knight e3.
Or you take on e5.
Oh, yeah. And
then but yeah, knight e3
rushed it. Oh my god, what a move.
This is some serious calculation. This is some that's beautiful. Like, you have to work very hard just to even be looking there and see some of the waiting moves like d6 and then rook takes c1. That's some very deep calculation.
Fedoseev making an investment, risking, because if this wouldn't have worked, he would have lost instantly. He's got 2 minutes left. And I'm just
so after bishop d8, we don't need to take on e5. Do we go knight e3 or knight g3? It feels like we need to bring knight e3 makes the most sense to prepare knight d5, right?
But bishop isn't D8, there the move rook b7 then? Okay,
so then we should take on.
We should take on e5.
E5, king h7.
So let's investigate here, here, here,
and then we bring the knight in, maybe, and then if rook b7, queen d5. Maybe.
Yeah. Goodbye.
No.
There's just way too many
yeah
threats and avenues. And white's also up potentially 2 pawns. Incredible. I mean, after what Noterbeck pulled off against Gukesh, you know, you can never relax against him. And rook b7 here, there's queen takes b8 and rook c7. So bishop d8 is on the board.
King h7. I'm looking for something cleaner. I for some reason.
Rook d2 exists. Yeah, it looks like there must be something a little bit more.
I feel like we're getting warmer. Rook d2. I'm looking at that. I want to buy what you're selling. Seriously, rook d2. It's a hard move again to find. Otherwise, you go
rook
knight
d2,
e2.
queen c8. Okay, he just takes on. Ooh. You know what's a very fascinating mating pattern? Queen c8 actually spoils it. But if queen b7,
because you're trying to go queen h2 and queen h6. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to go like this. Bang.
Yeah.
God, how many beautiful patterns have we seen today?
No, today we've been spoiled with the games, Danya. I mean, this is fantastic. We're seeing blow after blow this game. Fedoseev solved a bad position with some really, really strong calculation. Came out of left field, it felt like. He had to create it all himself. And wasn't a setup from before. It was more of a reaction.
You could, by the way, orchestrate queen h2 and g5 in that move order, but bishop h3 there, you know, black is hanging on by the skin of his, skin of his teeth.
So do we take now and go queen d5? Take on c7, queen c7, queen d5? I'm thinking of bishop g4, there's queen g8, king h6, queen f8, and that there must
I actually think he's going for g5.
Right now.
Yeah, bishop h3, there's got to be some sort of mate. Maybe back to e5 and queen
Yeah, we're making serious progress there. Like, even if we don't find a win, we're up 2 pawns, and our pawns are actually good now. They're mobile. So bishop h3, queen e5 check, king h7. Then queen d5?
Queen g4. Okay, but you can always go knight g3.
Yeah.
Yeah, queen d5 I think ends the game. Queen d5 ends the game. Because if you move the bishop away, you have nowhere to move it. If you play bishop e7, you take c7, go queen g8 mate.
Queen d5.
He simply takes. Oh, because queen c7, he wants queen d5. And black cannot defend g8 and protect the bishop at the same time. God, the calculation by Vladimir has been
but this
chef's
is
kiss.
This is a super nice game.
It really is. Queen e7, queen f6. And the worst thing is that queen g4 even here is not a threat because of knight g3. And white buys himself the tempo he needs to deliver mate.
So do you just play queen f7 and then knight e3 just to take away?
Or even bishop f7, but I would play queen f7, queen g6. 30 seconds though. He's got to be careful. You never know.
I think we're about. No, I didn't.
Stalemate. There's stalemate.
Oh,
the king is stalemated. Black just gives away all of his pieces. Black plays queen g4, queen d1,
queen d1.
Bishop takes g3.
Yes.
Holy cannoli! And watch him resign here. Will he see the fact that the king is stalemated?
It is stalemate. He's going to find it. He's 100% going to find it.
It's a renegade
he's got
queen.
2 minutes. That is beautiful. Because you have to take all the pieces. Otherwise, you get mated yourself.
Otherwise, you get mated. You have to take one of the bishops.
Oh my
Then black
goodness.
gives you a check on e2. You have to take the other one. And the queen easily gives itself away.
Oh, queen e2. This is incredible.
This is one of the most amazing moments we've seen. Just a queen e2, queen h2, queen takes g3 is the simple. He missed it, but he finds another drawing move.
Whoa!
He found a second drawing move.
Yes, if pawn takes, you just have queen e2, queen h5, queen e2, queen h5.
Bishop f7 was a howler of biblical proportions. And Fedoseev cannot believe it.
Bring the knight to e3. Use all your pieces. But
queen f7 in the end, it just takes g6.
He played an amazing middle game. absolutely stunning, and just
Ugh.
one slip at the end. You're gonna have to show the stalemate after, because I'm not sure if everybody caught that.
Absolutely. But first, we are going to. Hikaru is messing up that position. Queen d3, and Alexei Sarana is back from the dead again. What is going on today? What have these players eaten for breakfast?
But Sarana's making. I usually skip breakfast.
I do as well, but clearly these players haven't. I don't know what they had. They didn't have their coffee. Rook d7.
No, but Sarana's just like ice cold.
King
He's
F8.
not worried about getting mated. Just not worried at all. Queen g4.
And there's
Queen
no
F3.
way Queen g4, Queen f3, but then White's up a pawn.
But he's gonna. That's forced, right? Or
Hikaru has to be very careful not to lose this if he goes for it. But Queen g4, g6, maybe.
okay.
Talk about ice cold.
Then Queen f4.
No,
Yeah,
he
then
went
this
for
Queen F4.
this.
So you're gonna end up having to do it anyways. The problem with g6 is then your king is even worse, I guess, right? In some of the endgames, if you end up ever being down a pawn, I don't know.
Right, but here the rook is placed very, very well. Alexei should be able to hold this.
Every Russian schoolboy.
Yep, he studied this when he was 2 years old.
I probably wouldn't, but
I would lose this, honestly, probably 9 times out of 10.
this is gonna bring the king to b3, and he's hoping to get rook d4 check in. So what is he gonna play g5 now, or you want to keep the integrity of your pawns?
You want to make a move in 1 second?
That's. It looks dodgy, but I actually think it's fine because it's all about the pawn structure.
He's got to buy himself a little bit more time. He's losing now. No, the rook just goes behind the pawn and Hikaru pushes.
Because he defends f2. And
But Alexei's trying to give away his rook for the. I mean, this is. But this is going to be hard to win because King h3 is coming. Oh, and King e4, and he makes it in time. But how do you win this?
You're going to eventually be able to rook a3 or something. You're going to be able to cut the king off, right?
And the issue is that King g2 walks into like f3 or f4 check. Oh, and Hikaru makes it in time. The black king does not make it to g2 in time to give the rook away for the a7 pawn. Hikaru wins again.
Yeah, not an easy rook endgame to hold still. I don't, yeah.
Yeah, I think that practically it was never. Let's see. All right, time to resign. And now when he discovers that he missed queen takes g2, that will be some epic pain. Oh my god, we have a second game. We have a second game.
So Sarana needs to win on demand with white. We're in for some exciting chess there. And Fedoseev and Abdusattorov, that was like a 12-round boxing draw. And there's going to be a part 2.
Eric, look at Alexei's camera. He literally just discovered it.
Oh,
I was about to tell you.
Yes.
We could see the moment when he ran it through the engine.
Oh.
And you can just. Oh, and now he's thinking about it.
Yeah. No. Now he's going through like the 5 stages of grief or whatever. Just like it's done. But he's got a new game.
One of which is denial. Like, no, it didn't actually. The position did not occur. It's a different position. Rook b1. Wow. What a strange looking move.
But it's a good opening for a must-win game.
Yeah. And
Love it.
Alexei,
I like it.
No, I like it too. What Alexei has to try to do is channel his anger into giving himself another chance. But will he be able not only to put aside all of the pain and negative emotions, but he also has to beat Hikaru. Like, it's not enough to do that. He also has to actually win the game.
Yeah.
Even in the best frame of mind.
He's going to have to get
impossible task.
Going to have to get into like some sharp, complicated middle game that he can get Hikaru uncomfortable. I mean, Nimzos is bread and butter. Hikaru plays it a lot. But sometimes white can get a really strong attack here, really fast. And I'm not sure if that's going to be one of those instances, but the imbalance is there.
By the way, we will show the stalemate, but what I would propose, and I almost never do this, but for our Coinbase critical recap, I'm pretty sure choosing the Fedosseev game would just encapsulate the amazingness that we've seen today. So worry not, you will get to see the stalemate again. But oh my lands, breathe. And Fedosseev's game, I think, is heading toward a quick draw. Or is it? Okay, let's flip to it for a second. Enlighten me. Is Noterbeck playing for a win here?
I'm gonna actually say not really. So I'm gonna say no. I don't think he's playing for a win based on this. So I think there's a very likely draw in that game. He might have an idea to do something. Like, I can't give a full answer yet. He might have like something around here that he wants to try, but I think the decision was a very calm, calculated one, that he's okay. He's gonna try out a couple moves. If he gets nothing, he'll know very early on. If he gets nothing, he'll go to Armageddon. He's not pushing hard, that's for sure.
But he's playing without risk because basically he wants to. Yeah. He's slightly better. I mean, there's no question that if I had to choose a side, I would choose White has slightly better placed pieces, as is usually the case in this line of the Berlin.
Yeah, it's just so explored, and generally the one where, there's a lot of quick draws in this line. I don't necessarily think he's going for that, but we're waiting for what White's idea is going to be in a couple of moves where, okay, it's a symmetrical position. You're a little bit head in development, but if you're head in development, you need to manifest. You need to convert that into something. It needs to be tangible. Can you put pressure on a square, on a pawn? What is that going to look like for Abdusattorov here? Because the pieces look good, but you're done. You've developed. What now?
One sign that it's been a long day. I was about to propose Bishop C7, Queen C7, and Queen E8 checkmate.
Yes,
but there's the rather subtle idea that the knight moving away from G7 has opened that square up. So let's strike that from the record. No, I think this is just going to
caught yourself.
Caught myself just in time.
He's thinking now if he has an idea or not. I don't think he has an idea.
Knight F3.
Or he doesn't want to use an idea. We'll see.
Well, 95 could be annoying. I could see this getting a little annoying for black. If Fedosseev makes a sloppy move or two, he could start experiencing some malaise.
That's what you're checking is White. You're checking if your opponent makes a sloppy move. That's definitely that's what you're looking for. If they do, you push hard. If they don't, it's gonna fizzle out.
Yeah, Bishop G4. And he's provoking the knight onto E5. He's saying, come to Papa, What is the purpose? Does he want to drop back to E6 somehow? Bishop E6, knight F5. This is too subtle for me.
It is rapid. So even though the Berlin's really solid and everything and pretty drawish, like, you don't have enough time to make all the really good moves. Probably H3. I'm guessing H3 is going to happen to tuck the bishop in. Maybe knight E6, bishop H2, bishop G5, then Queen F3, for example.
But then already maybe F4 can be considered, although it's a very committal move.
So White still has a little.
There's a meat on the bone,
as you'd say. Yes.
A little advantage, yeah. Okay, some squeeze, maybe a little press, yes. So we'll see.
Press.
We'll see.
Uzbek press. Little.
No risk, fun, chess, and joy is a position.
Oh, I love it. I need more of that.
So in the Hikaru game, the structure has solidified, literally. It has ossified, but now it's getting reopened again.
This is what you got to do as White. So I don't know the eval. Hikaru's moves look normal, but White's just looking to bulldoze this position so that those bishops on D3 and C1 can breathe, can attack, create chances, and also get access to that E6 square. That could also be juicy.
Yeah, that square is the bane of Black's existence in some of these positions. Now, Alexei has done everything right from a strategic standpoint from a match strategy standpoint, he's done everything right. He's given himself chances, but can he capitalize the second time around? He's made Hikaru seemingly uncomfortable, which is very hard to do. Knight f6, and the bishop has to drop back to c2.
But if black doesn't get to undermine the c4 pawn here, and this kind of continues to play on the king side, that favors white. Because if you're not actually taking advantage of the weakened structure, the diamond structure, c3, c4, d5, then if all the corridor is all on the king side, it does favor the bishops, because white's not being punished for the weak pawns. If anything, the pawns are actually good because they support d5 and the space in the center. So I have give a slight edge for white if that maintains.
I was about to say e4 is an interesting choice, just sacking the e4 pawn and then playing bishop f5 to get a good knight versus bad bishop scenario. That's a Hikaru-esque decision. So
it is
a move like queen e8, for example, or maybe even g6.
Well, yeah, because you have to consider in that line, if white wants to play active, they should meet the eventual line with g4 f4. G4 f5. So that's what they're fighting over. Knight e4, knight e4, bishop e4, bishop f5. Like, yes, black's going to sack a pawn. Can white continue to push those pawns through?
Right. But I would also be concerned about f5, the immediate f5.
Definitely. f5, no, f5 is an automatic move. Right. Automatically f5, and this looks awful.
So that's what led me to think of g6. But as you're saying, yeah, then g4, f5. There's a hook on g6 that can be torn down. No, it's uncomfortable for black.
There's some questions being asked right now. Hikaru might be able to answer them, but there's definitely some questions being posed where white could get a very strong initiative with the bishops and the pawn.
Bishop g4, queen e1.
Queen e1. Because, okay, queen e1, then you got h3 coming.
Queen e1, bishop f5, I think, is Hikaru's idea.
I like it.
And I think that's
then
amazingly the only way to preserve a tenable position. Hikaru finds it.
Or do you just take the pawn? Do you just take on e4 anyways? Because again, in that whole line, I like the pawn sacrifice, practically speaking. But at the same time, white probably has to entertain it anyways, because that's the situation. If you don't take the pawn ever.
If you think about the long run, planning into your 60s, taking money out of your IRA kind of thing, the d6 pawn could be a problem in some endgame with a rook appearing on e6 or a bishop on f4. So this isn't a panacea, bishop f5. It just gives black something decently playable.
But chess players don't have savings accounts.
Didn't calculate the variations, so to speak. Yeah.
Maybe 80.
Can't believe I used the word IRA in a chess commentary. All the bankers would be proud of me. Charlotte is rubbing off on me.
That's the Roth?
I think there is a type of IRA called a Roth IRA.
Yeah.
Which I will unashamedly admit I have no idea. That's like a very adult thing to talk about IRAs. We're still hopefully kind of young. So let's table that conversation.
I identify
the
as
40th edition of RCC.
Yes, we'll save it for the 40th edition. Agreed.
Is there knight h1 here? And I'm only half joking.
So, do you play h3 or knight h1?
Because I would play h3 because then you can play f5.
Yeah. So h3. What do? They take on g3.
And there's bishop e2.
Oh, I didn't see that. Because if bishop f5, queen g5, and g4 was my idea. Queen g5.
This is why this is danger zone. Alexei could blunder this.
Yes, he could.
Alexei could conceivably blunder. I mean, h3 is forcing, and it's consistent with white's plan. So what does white do? Alexa, not now. Alexa, not now.
Hello, Alexa.
Did you ask something that Alexa might have been able to answer?
Hi, Alexa.
No, but I'm wearing headphones, so she's not hearing me. Alexa, Eric says hi.
Sorry, I'm not sure.
That's not a very nice
underwhelming response.
Jeez.
She talks up a storm and he missed it.
No, I missed it too. God. I dropped the same soap. That's it. Knight g3. So how do we salvage it? He's a shark. He's gonna see it right away.
Obviously. He's checking to see what it is.
He has
that
to play
missing.
bishop e2 or he's gonna get run over. That's the problem.
Know what's so terrible about these types of blunders is that like the opponent can't miss it. There are certain blunders where you have to find a difficult initial move, but then there's others where the move stares you right in the face. And Alexei, I mean, this is just such a tragedy for him because 2 games out of 2, he put himself in a position for success. And stood in his own way.
And now, now it's just like, no,
Goodbye.
It's true. He had the chances.
It's over.
It's an understandable blunder. I mean, I might have blundered it, but to beat Hikaru again, you got to kind of play like flawlessly or close to flawlessly, and take all the chances, and it's just not good enough. That's why I'm not playing. You can't afford any blunders. And now, even if you win back material, Hikaru's going to make it in a way that you can probably win back the pawn, but you'll have 0 winning chances. Like he'll just find a way to liquidate that just draws, that takes away all the winning chances, deprives all enjoyment you have in the game.
Yeah, you don't beat Hikaru from this kind of position. So the time I think has come for us to check in on the other game, which is proceeding quite a bit more smoothly and uneventfully. And I think an Armageddon here might be very much in the cards.
Yeah, I was saying that. I guess rook e3, queen g3, knight f3. But I still don't know what you're doing.
Right.
People just like move around in those positions and pretend they have an advantage. But like, you might as well, I guess, torture your opponent if you have white.
Yeah, pretend that they have an advantage is a very good way of putting it. The f4 square concerns me a little bit. Like if you play queen g3 and black plays 96, all of a sudden, maybe it's high time to offer a draw.
Then knight f3. If queen f4, maybe g5, e3.
Draw.
Yeah, draw. No, it's black usually gets f6.
Yeah. There's a famous story about Richard Teichmann, one of the top players of the 19th century. I think he was playing Tarash, and the story goes that he really wanted to see an opera or a theater, and Tarash was playing out a dead drawn position. So Teichmann said he was known for these kinds of antics. He sweeps all the pieces off the board and says, stop being foolish. Let's go see the play. Drawn game.
He just sweep the pieces, draw.
He just made a
I like that
citizen's arrest kind of thing,
That's you got. I mean, I would like to see a play or opera.
Yeah,
I think I'd be inclined.
Sure, we're both really into opera.
When in Rome, yeah. No, it's just trying to expand that knowledge base.
Nothing like some La Traviata.
See, I can't drop
commentary.
References like that. La Traviata.
Yeah, Verdi. Not that I've ever seen it. I think I might I think I slept through it.
Oh.
So. But now f6 and h5 drops g6. I'm trying to see if black might be able to flirt with a little something in the end game.
No flirting here.
No.
But now it's definitely it's well, if you wanna flirt with black, I guess you want to play g5 and h5?
Maybe bumble around with the pawns on the king side.
Did you say bumble or fumble?
I said bumble around with the
pawns. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
but you don't want to get too unhinged.
Okay. All right. Points for me for that. Full points.
That was smooth. At least that was smooth. See, I like someone who can appreciate a good pun.
I don't catch all of them, but I caught those.
No, those were all stars. A4 again, pretending that white is pressing. Yeah, I think. But
A4, A5, bring the knight to C3. No, but it's
I'm not going to predict who wins, but I'm going to predict that we're going to have some adventures in this endgame. There's different types of endgames. This is obviously equal, but it's not a dead draw. It's unbalanced enough to where you can see one side deciding to get ambitious and, throw some tinder into the fire.
That is what happens. We are going to, yep.
Bishop b3.
Yeah, I mean, you connected those all like immediately. I thought it would take more time, but that's you just ran through
It's
the
almost
list.
like I've done it before,
Ah,
but not quite
still,
as smoothly.
Still,
I appreciate it.
I'm gonna favor white here, and I've like just always a smidgen, but like, I mean, Abdul Sadarov, like, I don't know which rating they're using. I think he's over 2,700 FIDE live now, and the guy's just got a world of confidence in him. So like, there's got to be some sort of feeling that he's like, I can just like kind of like outplay some of these some of my contemporaries in equal or slightly equal positions.
Okay, Hikaru is about to checkmate his opponent, so let's switch briefly to the Hikaru game just to see the finale, if that's okay. I know the chat is itching to catch Sarana's last breaths here. Not much to say. Check, check, mate. Queen g1, rook e3, queen takes g2.
Then queen h5.
Oh, it's not made yet.
It's not made. It's not made. Got a couple more moves.
I take the rook on d5.
King,
yeah, rook e3, queen g2, queen takes d5, and queen f3. Is Hikaru going to make a draw here? No. There's no way. It's literally mate.
Oh, but by the way, we didn't finish all the, yeah. We're going to have to see someone grind the end game down.
Yeah, no, let's, but we got to see the conclusion of this game. Come on, Hikaru, you can do it. Rook e3, queen takes g2, and queen takes rook. Really, Riley? He's going for the draw. He doesn't. He wants to qualify. I guess that is the only important thing.
Professional, 1.5.
Very professional. Okay, back we go.
Back we go.
Our last remaining game.
We just have to find out who's the better grinder, Fedoseev or Abdusadarov.
See, I caught some of yours too. I think if white can get c4, c5 in, I would argue that white's advantage becomes quite serious. No, c4 knight takes b5. Oh,
that's the trick. But you know what? Like, that's always hovering over the position. But like pawn structure wise, you get your king to f4. Doesn't it feel like white kind of has a bit of a pull here? Or like, do you go rook c2? Do we go rook c2 so we actually?
Here's what you
c4?
do. You wait for king e7 and then you go c4. So that knight takes b5 meets with rook e1 check.
So now we should go king g3. Yes, walk on the dark squares.
Pretend that you're just going to f4.
I'm predicting. Yep. White's going to get a little something there.
Yeah. Oh, he blundered it. Or did he?
No. What's going on here? He's going to take
Knight
on
takes
f5.
b5.
Then bishop takes f5.
Boo, but that's a draw. Bishop f5, bishop h7. Black takes on d4.
No, he's not going to. He's going to play king e3 here, right? He's not going to.
Knight d6.
Bishop d3.
b6. And we have draw. Yeah, we have typical draw position.
Rook f1. And then d5.
Find some repetition, yeah. Yeah, maybe white still has a tiny pull with that protected pass around d5. But I have a feeling we're going to...
I know, I agree, but they're playing it on... See who has the high ground going into the Armageddon. They want to see who is on the better end of the draw. That's why the two players were jousting.
Yeah, rook e7 check, king d3.
Knight d6.
Knight d6.
Then maybe bishop g6 check. And then maybe you got rook e3 in, right? Where are you putting your bishop here, Danya? Oh, there's a pawn hanging. Okay, but then you take on c4, right?
Bishop c4? Wait, but bishop c4, knight c4?
Knight c4?
Rook c4.
Oh, oops.
Rook c8, rook c7. Oh my god. I gotta show that line really quickly. Looks like you liquidate, but bang, wham, bang, and you have trousers. And he sees it, bishop e8. He sees everything. But now he's a pawn down simply.
Still might not be losing. It's not the worst pawn, but it's definitely not a positive development. So
Does
the
White
question is,
what does White play?
no, then you lose your structure. Then there's like bishop e5 or rook takes. Okay, so we play. I'm saying that until I find a move, and I'm not finding a move. I'm trying to like, we're gonna
like
play
bishop. The whole problem, bishop e4, knight e4, knight e4, bishop. Yeah, he plays it.
So what was wrong with bishop e4, knight e4 to go rook f1,
bishop
rook
g6
f4,
there.
rook f1 check, rook f4,
a5, and I think he was worried black would promote.
Yeah, just run the pawn down.
This is a 3-result game with a draw being the most likely. Now d5 and knight e4 is possible. He brings the rook into the game.
So if I'm white and I had a minute and black at 6 seconds, the knight's gonna do damage. Here, white has no time, so he's got to catch up on time or let black, get down on the clock, because that knight and that pass pawn will be tricky. Objectively,
sure.
This is a draw, but I think it's very easy to blunder. But you do need to hold on, keep the pawns, keep the tension somehow.
Fedo has to avoid getting down it. Yeah, like you're absolutely right. After a5, the king is almost out of squares, but there's no mating net. I think I established that.
After a5, I can go king c5, right?
And black has only created a hole through which the king can squeeze in to black's side of the moon. d5 and rook takes d6 is a draw.
But yeah,
but that would last. Rook d6.
That would last
I'm trying to figure out if you can take a knight there. I think you can. Rook d6 dc. Rook takes d2, and I think black actually stops the pawn. It's Armageddon time, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Rook d6. Rook d6.
That is a very good find by Fedoseev, because otherwise he would have had to suffer rook and knight versus rook.
And he was able, yeah, exactly. He was able
to. And
to
that's just unnecessary. Even though it's a clear draw, it's just unnecessary. Here he was on even the good side of it. So that's. This is a good match. These guys have been really back and forth here.
They are pretty evenly matched, and it's been a wild ride with Vladimir Fedoseev. Let's not forget squandering that opportunity in the first game. I think now, Eric, if you don't mind, is a great chance to show that stalemate. And I would like to thank everybody for patiently waiting. We wanted to catch all the action live, but now let me pull that up real fast here. As we have players settle in for the bid.
Joining us, and a check stalemate idea to start the day, I think is pretty sweet.
So this is where the trouble started. I think, and you might disagree with this, but the simplest win was to play queen f7, queen takes g6. Resigns. Queen g4, knight g3.
You want the queen h6 mate or queen g8.
Now, the hilarious thing here, Eric, is that the king is still stalemated, but the difference is that the bishop covers d1, so you can't give everything away at the same time. But he played bishop f7. This gives the queen the d1 square. And after queen d1, bishop takes g3, f takes g3, there happened to be two draws. The first is what he did, but the stalemate was prettier. Queen e2, queen g2, and you back the king into a corner and force it to take the queen. Stalemate. Ain't that a beaut? The position speaks for itself, doesn't it?
It does. No, that would have been really nice. Bishop f7 is one of those moves you play and you immediately play it. You realize it's like, I did something wrong. It's just like, why did I do that? It's like, I gave my opponent a move that didn't need to be. Give them a shot on goal. Because there was two draws. There's two draws, which is a lot more than I'm sure Fedoseev expected.
Yeah, he expected aggressively 0 draws, and he got 2. And of course, he saw queen d1, but just short-circuited that, White's pieces abandoned their monarch. And the knight is not
he missed bishop f5 and the stalemate idea. But it's one thing, like, we saw it. It's another thing for the players to play it under, like, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. And Abdusattorov is... both of these players are super opportunistic. They are, whenever somebody's giving them a chance, they're reversing the positions. We saw that in game 1 from both players. players. And yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to this Armageddon.
Noterbeck will have white. Fedoseev will have black with 8 minutes and 10 seconds. Now, for those of you surprised that Hikaru, quote unquote, missed mate in 5, I'm sure he saw the concept of the mate, but like you said, very professional. The result of the game literally did not matter as long as he drew. A draw is equivalent to a win, and he knew for a fact that he had repetition, so it's an understandable decision.
Yep.
You know, there's a separate narrative in these tournaments that, you know, if you're playing a match, you have to win the match, and the game is underway. And we have a Rui Lopez. What is happening here?
This isn't a Rui Lopez, right?
I think it was. It was a Rui Lopez. It was an anti-Berlin.
Holy smokes. That looked
Knight
like...
E7 in this position.
Andre can sometimes play this, but not in this move order.
D4. E takes D4. A trade on F6.
What the heck is this?
C6, bishop C4, D5. Grabbing the center. Takes, bishop B5, king F8, knight B2, queen B6, A4. This is currently on the board.
This resembles like a French Tarrasch. Right? There's some positions with the double D pawns or something.
Yeah, and you've got this bishop and queen. Huh, bishop B2. Is Fedoseev better here? Like knight B3 is coming to a theater near you. And if white can reclaim T4, I think white is definitely better. So Noterbeck has to be pretty happy here with the outcome of the opening.
I think one thing to note is like, yeah, the structure for black is pretty weak. And also white hasn't touched H2, G2, F2. So the G file, while black could use it to attack, white hasn't really weakened their king. So it's going to be a little harder to even come up with some dynamic compensation. So I do like, feels cozy for white, but Fedoseev just taking the pawns and asking white to prove it. And what was the bid again, Danya?
Well, Noterbeck bid 9 minutes, Fedoseev 8:10. So Vladimir has spent 2 minutes.
So they're both
talk about opportunistic taking
yes.
B2. Yeah, they are both cheapskates.
But that means Fedoseev out of the entire day got the best deal. He got black with 8+ on the clock, and everyone else who had black had less than 8.
Yeah, he just found a way, you know. He weaseled his way to 10 minutes. Okay, knight B takes D4. So pawn count is currently 5-6. Fedoseev evacuating the queen back to his side of the board. But black's position still bothers me.
It looks ugly. It's hard to appreciate it. But the one thing is at least the pawns, they're taking away a lot of squares. It's not like it's that clear where the knights are going to go. I like white's position, but there's some sturdiness here where it's like, you know what, your knights look nice, your pieces look nice, but where are they going to go? How are you going to get to E5 or F5 or G5? If I can get my queen to H5 as white, I'll be happy. But how am I going to get there?
How
am I going
to
get my pieces further?
And I'll one up you. Even if you get the queen to H5, what do you do after that? I think the underlying problem is the lack of targets in black's position. Now you might say, what do you mean? But F6 is hard to get to. D5 is nicely protected by the knight. So Fedoseev can kind of just go queen C7 and chill and work on his position bit by bit. White's not worse, obviously, but it's hard to make progress.
Black initiated this opening in this position, which shows that there's a level of comfort or understanding that Fedoseev has with this pawn structure. Like he willingly went for it. So that's different than someone, oh, my pawns got messed up. I've never been here. This looks ugly.
Right.
Those feelings, not the same here. He seems fairly comfortable playing this with the bishop pair and the dynamic compensation that comes with it. But both these players, they don't shy away from critical lines and fights. So we are going to see Noterbeck try to get to that F6 pawn, try to get to the H6 pawn. It's going to take some work. I think you want to get a knight to F5, knight F5, and you're going to have to look at exchange sacks somewhere. Get rid of black's knight on E7 or something. He's going to look for something positional like a long-term
Ooh.
structural sack. That's my prediction.
But he's got to be very careful about a potential bishop takes g3. The only reason that doesn't work, well, there was knight h2 at the end of the line, but once again, a
F2?
draw is a win for black. Great move by Fedoseev. Entrenching his bishop on a nice square. Queen c1, king g7.
What about bishop d3 here?
Whoa, he took it.
Why did he take?
That looks very off. Took the pawns to the
Okay,
orthodontist and
but
paid their bill.
He's gonna play f6 here. You have to play f6, right?
Queen c1, king g7 once again. No, f6 is going to happen.
That's a strange decision. Why didn't he? He could have always grabbed on e5. I felt like I thought you could.
That
maybe
seemed like a
avoid
last ditch kind of thing. Like, oh, I need to change the pawn structure. I'm making zero progress, but he was getting some stuff done. Knight g6, also good.
Yeah,
but you don't like it.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out why f6 wasn't played, because I like the knight on e7 and how it defends d5 and covers f5 and provides shelter. You can still play f6 and king g7, so I'm okay with it. But I'm wondering why he chose this move, or there's a reason. I'm just trying to figure out what it
Maybe
means.
He's attracted to the potential idea of sticking a knight on f4.
White can go bishop f1 here and then f6. The onus is on white multiple ways. Yes, you have to win with Armageddon, but you're also down a pawn, and you have a poor pawn structure on the queen side. So I think things are looking good for Fedoseev right now.
I think this was a very panicky decision by Noterbeck to take on e5. He saw ghosts here, and now he's got to manufacture more counterplay out of nowhere. Rook db1, threatening bishop takes a6, but that's a prosaic threat. King g7 defends against that. I don't see what his follow-up is going to be.
It might be like rook b6 or something here.
Probably. Just bishop c6 would lock the rook in.
And then a5, and just at least say, hey, you're freezing that. Yeah, this is one reason why I wanted f6, but you can still do it.
Even now.
Yeah.
Bishop g6, king g6 looks a little scary, but the king perfectly safe with minor pieces running out.
Rook b6.
And that threatens bishop takes g6.
Yes, and then knight e5. So I think rook b6 and a5 has to be played. You need to improve one of your rooks, anchor it in, fix b7. Your other rook on b1, that's going to take some time. Maybe rook b4, maybe a rook lift there, but white needs to maximize the remaining pieces to find compensation, and that rook on b3 is not doing it. It needs to elevate up to b6 so it can look at the f6 pawn, coordinate with the queen on e1, a1. Maybe the queen goes to a3 also at some point.
Well, for now, you also keep your eyes open for tactics because, black's position is still very volatile.
So a5 or knight h4, I'm predicting. Maybe queen a3 to slowly bring the queen up into the position.
I like that move. I think a5 is not mission critical yet, and it also gives potential b5 square for the bishop. I would play queen a3 and try to pan for gold along this diagonal, maybe swing the queen toward the center to e3.
No, it's a versatile move. You can even go, because queen a3, you might want to go queen d3 check, induce c4, then go knight h4 check, and you've forced the pawns to commit.
I would also consider queen c3.
Yes.
And once again, in trying to induce d4. Queen d3, knight h4 operate along the light squares. The time beginning to equalize, though.
Noterbeck is super tricky, so I like black's position a couple moves ago a bit more, but now it's dynamic. I think white has compensation for the pawn right now. It's anybody's game. The open king and some of the activity, it's very easy to blunder as black here, right? Just the knight hopping around. Time's evened up though.
And there's no increment in Armageddon, we remind you. So easy to blunder. Move the rook from b8, bang, allow rook takes b7. Just like that. I could see Fedoseev accidentally rook b d8 or something like that. And if I were him, I would maybe move the queen to d7. Noterbeck's making some progress here. There's just a sense...
Is it time for a5, or do we go like queen f3? Or
queen f3, I
check?
think. But queen f3, are you worried about d4? Or do you want d4 to happen? Not sure. More questions than answers.
I'll take on f6 then. And then sack the exchange, maybe.
Yeah. Queen f5 is not out of the question.
He wants to go queen h7, I think. I think that's the square for the queen. So if you don't go queen f5 now, I think queen h7, somehow it looks like a good move. It just...
Maybe you tried to optimize it. a5, queen h7, and then queen f5.
Yeah. Yep. I can see that.
But I don't see white winning that endgame unless it's on the clock.
That's true. White has to win. Draw's not okay. So keep the queens on the board then. Then I'm not going queen f5. I would not have faith with the queens off. So I'm definitely telling myself keep the queens on.
That's a path of no return. But what queen h7 is a lovely idea. And all the bases will be covered after he plays it. Noterbeck looking intently.
Okay, so queen h7, queen f3.
Queen h7, queen f3. Rook. But at that point, I can play rook bf8.
That was the concern.
Entrust the defense of the queen side to my bishop, which is performing handsomely. There's the a5 move. And I think we're going to see queen h7, queen f5. And
queen
he's going to seek his fortunes in the endgame.
Classy looking move.
God, my hands are shaking and I'm not even playing. Tension builds up.
I think people are wondering, I think Abdusattorov is playing a tournament right now, maybe Turkish League or
where he's 2 out of 2, by the way.
So he's in a hotel room playing chess during the day and playing chess during the night, like right now. So.
I think it's around 1 a.m. probably in Turkey. At least.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Fedosseyev taking his time. Queen h7 is what we are anticipating. I was even considering... No. Going crazy. Knight g6 check, but... the problem is that you're down a pawn. That's actually a major problem in terms of the endgame.
Yeah, because those rook endgames will be pretty clear cut. You're down a pawn. Can you win back the pawn? Yeah, but past that, it's not looking like there's enough.
And there it is. He took a while to play it, though. That gives Noterbeck another inkling of hope in the endgame. And queen f5 is what I'm anticipating.
I'm guessing queen f3.
The blue move, or the green move, or the orange move? Drum roll, please. Queen f3, rook f8. That I can't solve that problem.
And I agree with that, but
he's got to make a decision.
Yeah.
Now. He's down on time now. It's just a blitz game at this point. You can see his eyes searching the board for ideas. He has to win this game. A trip to the semifinals is on the line.
Not happy to play that move, but he felt he had to keep the queens on. But the knight on
d4.
What about queen e? Oh no, queen e4 is terrible. I hang h6. Don't listen to me. D4.
That's all good. I'm D4. Terrified of d4 because rook b8. That's an idea we discussed.
Professional move first.
And Noterbeck stalling with c3, trying to milk. Every second is golden now. Rook g4. Fedosseyev is taking over the initiative.
Exchange sack. h3. Don't be surprised to see.
Knight g2.
You
rook takes h4 even now.
Rook h4. Rook h4. Sack
you cannot Noterbeck. Oh my god! And g takes h4. Is there a win there?
I think there's at least a draw, which is what's necessary.
But rook cg8 is perfectly sufficient. You cannot take on g4.
The queen on h7 is so well placed, Danya.
Good move by Noterbeck, though. Knight g2.
Knight g2, knight e3 or h3.
d4. Fedosseyev is smelling blood. Opening up the bishop cd. Rook takes d4.
Yes. Rook takes d4 and queen e4 are both ideas if c takes d4 is played.
At this point, I feel like the question is whether black draws or wins this. I just don't see how Noterbeck pulls the game out here.
The bishop on c6 is now a monster, and the knight on g2 is dominated. So almost every category is now favoring black: time, pieces, material.
I mean, literally, white is getting pushed off the board with every move Fedosseyev accumulates and accumulates. And the time continues to dwindle. He's down to 90 seconds, but he closes the bishop down. And can he win the d-pawn?
Maybe just rook g7 and then rook to d7, rook g7 and then rook g to d7.
Rook g
reroute the pieces.
Rook g8 goes Fedosseyev. But the problem, rook d4, queen b1, you blunder h6 again. That was
Yes,
a
you
nervous
do.
move right there. Rook
That was
G7,
a
Rook
nervous
D7
move.
was a lot
But
better.
If white can win back a pawn,
Noterbeck is starting to emerge from the grave. He's walking out of that cemetery
look
again.
Look at those pawns: d4, f6, h6, all looking loose. f3 closing down the bishop. A bit of progress here. Maybe rook h4, maybe rook f4, and now the knight has a path to e3 or f4 as well.
All Noterbeck really wants is the time scramble. Fedoseev leaves f6 hanging, but he plans queen g7 in response.
Maybe rook f4 here. You don't want to trade queen, so I'm not taking f6 yet. Maybe rook f4, then knight g2, then knight h4, something like that. What do you think?
You have to be careful about d2, but you can meet d2 with knight g2. That pawn is under control.
I'm thinking
now
rook
it's a bullet
f4
game.
here. Slowly unravel.
He's 20 seconds down all of a sudden, and he takes d3 fearless from Noterbeck.
I would not do that. I would be afraid.
Well, I'm already afraid. Rook e1.
Then
Rook takes d3. Holy smokes.
Tactics.
I'm more worried about Noterbeck's clock than anything. To navigate this position with 40 seconds is impossible.
You need to move for white right now.
Queen c1.
Can't get down to like 10 seconds. Queen c1.
Got to attack h6. That's the only target remaining.
So if rook takes d3,
Queen takes h6 check.
then move the king.
Rook g4.
Oh, rook g4 is mate. Oof.
He's got to move. He doesn't see what to do.
Queen c1.
Noterbeck's going to flag. Rook f4. Finally, he finds
Queen
a move.
e3.
King g2.
Then king g2. Then.
Oh, Fedoseev
this is
smells
a
blood.
different
17 seconds. He's got to move something. Noterbeck's going to lose.
Rook d2. Rook d2.
Does
and
he
then
realize
king
there's
d2?
no increment? Eric, he's down to 8 seconds. It's over. Fedoseev can literally go queen g7.
I don't think he
It's over.
realizes no increment. I don't.
Or his internet is down, but he's literally just flagging. Oh my god. Fedoseev seems confused too. And way
The
too
time's
late
just
to
gonna
start
disappear.
pre-moving. It's over. A pretty anticlimactic finish, but very well deserved from Fedoseev.
No, I mean, played a risky opening. Not everyone's style with black and Armageddon, and handled the complications extremely well. So I definitely think, like, even in the final position, even if white doesn't lose on time, look at it, right? Like, black is in control, trading off pieces. Think he was on his way to advancing anyways, and yeah, well deserved.
Without question. Without question. An incredible Armageddon. No better way to cap off a 5-hour first RCC Finals day of action. But do not leave yet, because we need to draw some conclusions. We need to update you on the new bracket, on the winner's bracket, on the loser's bracket, because tomorrow will be day 2 of the finals. So go absolutely nowhere. We'll have the Coinbase recap and some concluding thoughts on the other side of the break here at the Rapid Chess Championship Finals, brought to you by Coinbase.
The Rapid Chess Championship is brought to you by Coinbase. Whether you're looking to make your first crypto purchase or you're an experienced trader, Coinbase has you covered. You can earn crypto by learning about crypto at Coinbase.com. Explore DeFi and Web3 with your Coinbase wallet. Get exclusive rewards when you spend with your Coinbase card and much, much more. Learn more at Coinbase.com/chess and get $10 in Bitcoin when you sign up and verify your account. Check them out. Use the command sponsor or command Coinbase today and go to Coinbase.com to get that Bitcoin, baby.
Day 1 of the Rapid Chess Championship Finals, day 1 of 4, brought to you by Coinbase, has concluded. It was an epic day of fireworks, incredible battles, time scrambles, swindles, defensive resilience, attacking skill, positional acumen. We had every skill and every player putting everything out on the line, and we will have 3 more days of that. But now it is time for our Coinbase rapid recap. We had a hard time choosing a game given how many of them there were today and how many good ones there were today. Ultimately, Eric, we decided to go for Hikaru Nakamura's first game against Alexei Sarana from their quarterfinal matchup. It was, to say that this game was topsy-turvy is to say nothing. Eric, perhaps you could walk us through the opening where the fireworks really began.
Yeah, no, the players went for a pretty sharp opening right from the start. Sarana playing black, Hikaru going for knight f3, e3, one of his systems. And if we just fast forward a couple moves, it's all fairly normal. Bishop e2, bishop e5, f6.
Right.
F6 right here already is an ambitious move, indicating black wants to play pawn to e5 next move, take the center, and immediately start pushing white's pieces back. So that already indicated we were in for a fight, and Hikaru's not one to necessarily, give up space for free. So
and d4 wasn't an option.
No, d4 was not an option. So that was the start of when things started getting spicy. c4 trying to undermine the center. Then we had d4, b4, both sides undermining the pawn chains respectively. And when the dust settled here, after this position.
Yeah, Alexei was pretty happy here. Now he's given up the bishop pair, but this is reminiscent of a reverse Nimzo Indian Samish variation. That's a mouthful just to say. But black has complete control of the d4 square. The queen is largely unassailable, and Hikaru has a hard time coordinating his pieces. He plays bishop a3 to prevent black from castling. Alexei, with a very well-timed a7, a6, snags the pawn on c4 fearlessly, and we could sense Hikaru getting uncomfortable here. Another excellent move, b5. This is tactical wisdom by Alexei here. Knight takes b5, runs into a check on e4, punishing white for not castling. Bishop e3, queen g4 offering a queen trade, and at this point, Hikaru has an incredibly uncharacteristic meltdown. Rather than trading queens and getting into a complicated endgame, he puts the knight on d5. And Eric, we cannot overstate the craziness, the insanity of this moment, because the queen takes you to a move that most players would play in their sleep, ends the game on the spot. Hikaru just had a brief mental lapse. Rook f1, knight takes d5, rook takes c6, and among other things, bishop h3 wins a ton of material. White can resign in this position. We were sure that he would play it, but after a couple of seconds, queen e4 check. I still can't believe it. Can you?
I can't believe it. We call it the Hikaru effect, where players can get psyched out, or they don't expect, when you're playing Hikaru, that he can make a blunder, because queen g2, as you demonstrated, wins. Queen e4 check, which was played instead, that allows the knight to retreat to e3, not only sheltering the king, but defending the pawn on g2. So once that opportunity was missed, there was no further opportunity to take away any of Hikaru's king side. And now you look at the position that we have right here. Black's king in the center, white's bishops bearing down. Hikaru was in the driver's seat, and don't really think he let go for a while there, Daniel.
No, for a while. I mean, he played quite decently. We could spend an hour just analyzing the intricacies of this middle game, but let's fast forward a little bit as Hikaru nurses his initiative, makes a couple of inaccuracies, and starts letting Alexei back into the game with the move bishop b3 to bishop b3, apologize for that, to d5. and there were better moves. This gives Alexei a chance to liquidate. Bishop c6, takes d5, and Hikaru was banking on the threat of a discover check against Black's queen. Might have forgotten that Alexei has the simple king f7. Hikaru was left to liquidate further. Takes b5, knight c7, wins the rook back after a preliminary check. But Alexei dodging all the bullets, walking his king to d6, getting his rook into the game. White is still winning, but at this point, the process has gotten a lot more complicated. And Eric, for a while, Alexei keeps chipping away at Hikaru's advantage.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this position, Black's king is starting to run back and find a bit of shelter, and White has two isolated pawns, the pawn on d3, the pawn on a2. So despite being up a pawn, the quality of the pawns favors Black a little bit with that continuous pawn chain, and means that Hikaru had to spend time and energy defending these pawn weaknesses, which allowed Black to get back in the game and pose some problems.
And Alexei continuing to centralize his pieces up until the point when a knight trade happens and queen d3 challenges Hikaru's queen, forcing either a queen trade or, in the case of the game continuation, Hikaru drops d4, material equalizes, but Alexei, facing imminent danger to his king, decides to engage a strategic queen trade, giving up a pawn, but correctly assessing this endgame as objectively drawn. But with only seconds left on his clock, Hikaru well-timed rook d2, cutting off the king, and White's got this very easy plan of dragging the king over to the queen side and guiding the passed pawn forward. And in time pressure, Alexei, despite a lot of good moves, I think he started correctly, Eric, and he found the correct idea of bringing the king to the center, but somewhere here, he made a critical mistake.
Yeah, we were trying to assess this. I mean, with perfect play, can Black hold? Probably, but in practice, in a game, you see that a pawn running down at you. Your rook has to back up and defend passively, and then you just have your lone king against White's rook. Who's going to win there? Well, in the end, Hikaru's rook stood firm on d2, and Black wasn't able to collect enough pawns to compensate for this running a pawn that turned into a queen shortly after. Just a couple moves behind, but that's all it takes.
Well, the last key moment, Hikaru walking his king first to the king side to collect f4, then back to the queen side, and Alexei one tempo short. The problem is that you can never play king g2 because of the check, so he has to wait for the white king to leave, but by the time it does, you're one tempo too late. The king to b7 it goes, and rook takes a7 would have been a draw if Hikaru had to take with a rook, but obviously here he can take with the king, defending the remaining pawn, and Alexei resigned shortly thereafter. A monumental victory for Hikaru. He survived the second game as well, despite a dubious position, to make his way into the semifinals of the winner's bracket. And this, ladies and gentlemen, was our Coinbase recap for the day. Apologies, it's been a long day indeed. And as evidence that it's been a long day, let us take a look at the updated and annotated bracket. Eric, it almost seems like the round one matches were played in a different era.
Yeah, like,
were these today?
We saw, yeah, they were today. That was like many hours ago. I thought you were referring to some of the games in their style that there's a bit of romantic chess. There was some games, some open games that maybe Morphe would have been proud of. But yeah, it has been a long day, and there's been a ton of fighting chess. Really, really some of the absolute best rapid players in the world went at each other's throats. This is an elimination, and look at that field in the loser's bracket. I mean, there's a world
monsters, tigers, sharks.
There's a reigning world rapid champion there. There's the next world championship challenger there. I mean, look, it is just stacked. I'm excited for both the losers bracket and the winners. We just did that recap. I thought it was a good one because, I mean, Hikaru, I think he's the tournament favorite, and that was his closest brush with death today.
And Hikaru will definitely have more brushes with death because he is playing the winner of Fedoseev Nepomniachtchi. Jan Nepomniachtchi has demonstrated excellent form in the last week of the RCC and at the start of these 4-day finals. So both brackets, both the losers and the winners, they can be confused for each other. You could look at both brackets and you wouldn't be able to determine which would be the losers and which would be the winners. Tomorrow, Friday, August 19th, at the same start time, 12 Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, we will have the losers round one and 2, as well as the winners semifinal. So we will have 3 batches of excellent games, as those in the losers bracket have no more margin for error left. They have to win out in order to challenge the winner of the winners bracket in the grand final. The finals last 4 days. The start time will be the same each of those 4 days. So we hope that you have canceled all of your plans, called in sick prophylactically, just so you can stay home and watch. I'm a great influence, and watch the Rapid Chess Championship finals. But for now, Eric, I will pass you the mic one more time for your final conclusions about this epic day of RCC action before I wrap up.
No, I just had a fun time commentating. A couple moments stand out for me. I mean, the stalemate trick that was available in the Abdusadarov game, Fedoseyev's tactics. We had the Ding and Jeffrey match that featured some of the finest, I think, sportsmanship that I've ever seen in a top level game. So you had quite a few moments today. So I mean, I just had a blast. I hope everyone does book off the next few days to come watch the show. I'll be happily in the audience. But Dania, it was a pleasure as always.
Likewise, Eric. These 5 hours passed so quickly. It was a pleasure commentating with you, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the chat and everybody on YouTube, Twitch, watching and supporting your favorite player. The RCC would not be possible without such a steady base of supporters, keeping the chat active and energized. Of course, to our sponsors, Coinbase and Hired, for making the RCC finals possible, and to our producer, Matt, who worked tirelessly to produce excellent graphics and for another flawless broadcast. And now, for everyone on our wonderful Chess.com team, our producer Matt, Grandmaster Eric Hansen, I am Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky saying goodbye from the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. We will see you tomorrow for day 2 of the finals. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. It is Thursday, and that means it is the start of the Rapid Chess Championship finals presented by Coinbase. The next 4 days are going to be chock full of incredible action as 16 players compete for the crown of this inaugural RCC season. Rook takes c7. Uh-oh.
He's having some issues because all these moves should be automatic.
This is really bad. Oh my god. Oh my gosh, he's down in 3 seconds. Oh no. And Jeffrey is not going to feel good about winning a game like that. Oh, that is tragic. Ding Liren managed to reconnect. The game began, and Jeffrey, I think, has resigned the game. Classy is to say nothing. Jeffrey giving Ding the second game. So they will go to Armageddon.
Queen f2, rook f2, rook c4. Try to put the rook on a4. Feels like very close to just a forced draw there.
I think Jeffrey's got this in the bag.
Hats off to Jeffrey because the sportsmanship and then letting his chess speak for himself.
I think Andre can blunder to piece.
Oh, we have to go there. People love seeing the blunders because they can relate.
Oh, whoa.
What the?
What was...
I think that's like a Hikaru effect or something. Like that move I cannot explain. That is a mind-bogglingly bad move.
Whoa, this cannot
from a player
work.
of his class.
Go for a walk.
Alexa, not now. That's it. Oh my god, wait. Whoa.
Oh, the king can hide on the H file. The king can hide on the H file.
Oh, because black has the H pawn.
Oh, so there's no checks.
That's what he was going for. Alexei had to push his pawn rather than procrastinating.
Oh, he is upset.
G5 and GF.
Take on F4.
Wait, rook is hanging. Oh.
The rook is hanging.
Oh,
Rook
it's
C2.
over. Sasha is not going to play another move. And Alexei Sarana, huge kudos to him. Upset, tough last game. He keeps his composure. Very difficult position. And he turns around and beats Alexander Grischuk.
By the way, we have a photo of Wesley So's chess setup.
I'm getting
speechless.
neural overload short-circuiting. Now, Wesley could sack the queen, but he's not going to do it because the knight can land on f6 on demand.
Oh! Whoa!
Whoa. Whoa. Rook takes f4. Does he want rook takes b2? He does.
Calculate it.
Hikaru blundered a piece or no? Queen takes g2?
He's going to play queen g2, Dania.
Oh my god. The
my
Hikaru
goodness.
effect strikes again. This is unbelievable.
I think we're about. No, I didn't.
Stalemate. There's stalemate.
Oh.
The king is stalemated. Black just gives away all of his pieces. Bishop
my
f7
goodness.
was a howler of biblical proportions. And Feta
Just
said,
bring the knight
cannot
in.
believe it.
Bring the knight to e3. Use all your pieces.
Jeffrey needs to make sure he's back at the computer.
He's maybe taking a bathroom break or just thinking about what to play because it's a dilemma. What do you play against Wesley when you need to win on demand with Black?
That another gracious move. Wesley added time back to Jeffrey's clock. He added until he had 10 minutes.
Some feel-good moments today.